right, hey there, welcome to another coworking video. Just a reminder, these things are messy. Go watch something else. Here's the standard disclaimer on the screen. You can go ahead and read that. We're going to jump right in. It is Juneteenth. Yeah, what is that? June 19th. And we do not have it off, so I'm going to be here working. And the goal of the day is going to be to, at least the goal of the next hour, is to debug some cert problems that we're having in Kubernetes. I personally think that our certificates have been totally screwed up and that they haven't been properly signed. So in order to confirm that, my certificates are working in my home lab, in my emulated environment. And the same sort of organization does not work at work. And I won't get into the details, but suffice it to say that the TLS validation fails to work. In fact, to show you what I mean, so the goal for the next hour or so is going to be to recreate the errors that I were seeing in production so that I can prove that the reason of the errors are because we're missing certs in a different area. This is not the kind of thing that you can test even in development at work, because it would be taking down the whole cluster and restarting the cluster with different certificates. In case anybody was wondering, this is why I spent so much time setting up my own development lab where I can take up and down clusters and keycloak anytime I want with different CAs and different certs. Because to be able to make a very intelligent suggestion about what we're going to do with the certs that are broke at work, I have to recreate that scenario exactly in the lab. And that cannot be done in even a development lab of Kubernetes cluster, which other people are using it for their development. So I'm really happy that I'm hitting this, because this is 100% justification for spending the time to build a Minikube multi-cluster lab at home using keycloak authentication and your own root CAs with OpenSSL. All of those things directly relate to the job and to determine the problem determination of our failing certs. Now, my hypothesis right now is that the reason our certs are filed, so in a nutshell, and I mean, I don't care if you know this. This isn't that big a deal to tell you. In a nutshell, what is happening right now is that rather than have a cert authority, which is how mine actually works, we have to do this. And this is insecure. It should only be done on development insurers. You say this. You say enter, insecure, skip TLS, skip TLS verify. So what that does is it opens up anybody using this kubectl command from this machine to man-in-the-middle attacks and all kinds of things. And you're not supposed to turn TLS off. There's an overabundance of warnings everywhere in setting up your own certificates in your own kubeconfig OIDC kind of queries and everything, saying that the Go library is really picky about validating TLS certificates. In fact, so much so that I imagine that's why they added this thing, so that people could fire up dev servers that are using certs that are kind of sloppily signed, but without, corresponding CA on both, and therefore, they can still do their development or whatever. Now, over the last week and a half, I've gone through a lot of painstaking work to make sure that I set up my cert chains properly. I have a root CA, I have an intermediate CA, and then that's what produces the certificates. One of the commands that I did not know about before a couple days ago that I'd seen, no, I don't have the nav, that I'd seen from before is this command, OpenSSLS client. This is a regular hacker command. It's used for adding to curl to do, it's basically a curl that has HTTPS enabled that allows you to look at headers and different things. But this is actually a really great way if you don't know where your certs are. So I found out I did some research and I read that this is a way to look up the actual cert that's used in an interaction. The syntax is s-client show certs. Yes, you have to, s_client has to be installed separately from OpenSSL. It may not be installed by default. And show certs comes first, and then connect, which takes an argument and a port, and that will get. So that's my TLS enabled Keycloak that's running its own root CA, and you'll see that right now. So that dumps out. I don't know why it waits around for some input. I think it's probably because it's supposed to be like an HTTP. I think it's actually an HTTP interaction. Anyway, so this is a successful connection. So this cert we know works. You'll see that this is a CA. All right. It doesn't say here. It does not give up its permissions. It doesn't give up its issuer. Wait, or does it? I'm trying to just look at this for a second. So, oh yeah, it does. It does have its issuer. There it is, 0, 1. See? Okay, so that's okay. So this is the cert chain. So there's my CA. Yeah, here we go. Wait, depth 1, depth 0. So this is depth 0 and this is depth 1. That's interesting. I would have thought depth 1 would have been lower. So the first cert that gets handed off is the ICA. That's what's serving up the Keycloak stuff. And then its issuer, it's a little bit backwards, is Artifacts Rob CA. So this cert down here, this is a certificate chain. That means they're all in the same file, which is something I was unaware of. I didn't know you could. I mean, I knew you could put combine pen file of content, but I didn't know that was considered a chain or whatever. So what they do here, they include the first cert. This is this ICA, the intermediate cert, right? And this is the actual cert. So if the reason, the first test I want to do is the suggested fix. If you don't know where your cert is and you want to add it to your keychain, is to add that. So what does that mean? Well, we did not keep any of the shell code. I probably should have for this, but yeah, I got rid of it all. Actually, no, that's in my lab. I guess I'll pull it up if I wanted to. Let's actually do it by modifying the Go code though. So if I go into the Go code and I turn this off and I turn this off, right? Then it's going to be completely dependent on the root CA being known to the host system. And let's do that. And we can do K login. And K get pods. So there we go. It's working, right? I'm able to log in. Everything's kosher and cool. Now, if I remove that from the host system, which is a simulated situation that we have right now, then to do that, I need to do sudo rm. Unless, did I embed it? No, I didn't. Actually, it might have already been in there, and it didn't get rid of it because it was left over. Yeah, I bet that's what's happened. Yeah, see, it's got all the shared CA stuff here. So that stuff has to go away because, first of all, we're not going to add certificate authority like that. We're going to add it with data by doing embed certs so that the file can stand alone. This will fail from now on. Yep. Signer unknown authority. Okay, unable to connect. I don't even know who the authority is. That is a different error than the error that we've been getting where it says that it's not, that the domain name is not included, which means it's probably not in the alt names for the cert. And I believe that that's the fix. So the error that I'm getting right now is unable to connect to server X509 certificate is valid for blah, 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 not blah. And that's the specific name of the host. So the error is giving me is that this IP address here is not valid for the certificate being used. So that's a different problem. Let me show you how to see that though. So let's actually take this one for prod. I'm going to take this one out, and I'm going to do my OpenSSL client against that. This other one was KeyCloak, so we were pretty confident that's going to work. But this is the API server. This one is actually working. So something I noticed too is that this hands off a session ticket, and my other ones don't do it when I do that from my Mac. That's interesting. So there is nothing here, right? Let's do that again, just to make sure we got everything. Cannot use SSL get server name Minikube. Very interesting. Now, there we go. Certificate chain Minikube. Minikube CA. So that's the CA. And what's this? Signature algorithms. All right, so what I want to do here is, I think this failed because, yeah, it did. Because we don't know about that cert. So watch, if I do KGet pods, it can't get it because it doesn't know the cert authority. Now, if I put this PEM file, if I copy that, copy temp foo to temp ca dot pem, temp ca dot pem. If I copy this certificate in here and I add it, it should work. Because that was a CA. Okay, so we can do this. We can say, you can do this from the command line, but we're going to do kconfig set cluster prod certificate authority temp ca.pem dash dash embed certs. All right, so now when we look at the temp file, it should have our cert in there. Yep, there it is. Certificate authority data is now there. Now that should work because the the CA data that is used by the API server at that location now matches the cert authority data that's been stored in the kubectl file, even if it's not on the host system. So that should be kgetpods, and it says you're not logged into the server. Okay, so klogin. That's because it needs to make a new token, but that's a different error, obviously. Okay, get pods. And there, we're in. It worked. It's all working now. Okay, so how did I do that? Right? What I did, and this is confirmed by the research I've done online too, is I don't have to know where the certificate authority lives. I don't have to know that. All I know, I can use OpenSSLS client to show me that file, right? So I do show certs, and then it connects to this location and says, hey, let's basically, I'm going to show you the handshake, I'm going to show you the cert that you can use. If you're, it's like, here's the cert chain, right? By the way, this is the CA, and CN equals Minikube CA, right? PKey RSA encryption. So the API, the Minikube server sent this and said, hey, this is the CA. Now, what I need to do now is I need to not use the CA in a Minikube instance and fire that up and see if I can make that work, because I don't know, but I think what happened at work is that they just use the default without a CA, and so they just use the Kubernetes created and signed certs, and that is the situation. That's why we cannot provide a CA file, even though that's the right way to do it. We cannot provide a CA file to the kubeconfig so that we can bypass skip TLS validation, right? By the way, if I remove that, let me show you. If I remove the dot, if I remove this cert authority file, what is it? Does that work? Okay, get pause. It'll fail, right? Failed to verify cert, blah, blah, blah. So this is a mistake. So you can actually bypass that. Let me show you something. So you can actually do insecure skip TLS verify equals true. And you can bypass it. Did I spell it right? Well, let me just add it. So we can do this. We can say insecure skip TLS whoopsie. Anyway. Okay, what the hell? There we go. Config set cluster prod insecure skip TLS verify, and that adds this file. That is this insecure skip TLS verify equals true. Okay, get pause. This should now work. See that? It should work because it uses a cert to create an encoding, but it doesn't validate the cert against the CA keychain, the valid keys, parent CAs, and which is what Go does by default. So most people, when they're making dev clusters and stuff like that, they add skip TLS verify, right? If you were doing it to the dev cluster, it'd be fine, but to your production cluster, it's not a good idea to have your entire, collection of developers all disabling TLS validation. It's a bad idea. So that's what we're trying to fix. If I remove that, it doesn't work, right? If I remove that, it doesn't work until I add back the cert. And we already have that. So there's two ways to get around this error. This error, the TLS failed to validate certificate. There's two ways to get around it, right? One of them is to disable TLS validation, and we just showed how to do that with skip TLS insecure skip TLS verify. The other one is to actually, there's three ways actually. The second way is to put the certificate in the file or in a separate file and have it be configured in your cluster or stuff in your kubeconfig. Or three, actually put the certificate that's used in your keychain for your host system, right? And right now, actually, I'm pretty sure it's not in the security chain for the key host system. That's why it's throwing an error. Otherwise, it wouldn't. So those are the three ways to do this. If you don't have access to all the systems to load up that stuff, then let me know. We actually have a unique situation because the OIDC server has a global signed cert that's public. So you can do OIDC authentication, no problem, because the certs are public and they're on every machine in the world. The API servers, however, have been signed with certs that are not public and that are internal only, which means that they either need to be installed on the system or they need to be configured in the applications that use the connection to that, whether it be CA cert in curl or you actually do the additions that we've been talking about. So I've successfully recreated the error. Now, what I need to do now is I need to actually make a shitty Kubernetes cluster that has done nothing with its certs. It hasn't used a CA at all. It's just used, basic cert signing. And then I need to figure out how to add the cert from that properly and to simulate having the wrong DNS in there. So I think that's the core issue. I think the core issue is that the certs that they use when they were configuring Kubernetes to skip TLS. I think, I didn't know about SSH skipping TLS validation. I didn't know that it did that. Yeah, I haven't used curl like that at all ever. I didn't know that it had that flag. So apparently curl has a -K flag to skip TLS validation, which is good too. That's also good. But you need to know what you're getting into. If you're about to deploy something to your world, it's probably not a good idea to do that. So the next, I need to simulate a Kubernetes cluster that has been made without a CA, which is stupid. You should never do that. But if for some reason you're dealing with a cluster that's like that, how do you create a kubeconfig file without disabling TLS that uses it properly, right? That's the scenario, and I need to fix that. And this is not the kind of thing, I'm going to say it again, this is not the kind of thing that you could test anywhere but in a lab that has a full-blown Keycloak server set up, because you have to do the OIDC thing to get the token and everything. So I am very glad I invested that time. Here we go. So it's -K or dash insecure. Did not know that. Hey, Abba G. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go log into my server, and we're going to spin up another Minikube. We already have some running here. We have 3 Minikubes running that were started up using the OIDC Minikube start script to simulate prod deadevent inf. This is 3 different clusters, all of which are properly using certs. Now, the cert has been preloaded into Minikube certs, and therefore it works, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up another cert without that mini. You know what? I'm going to need to reinitialize Minikube here, because I know how to get all this stuff to work. This stuff has served its purpose. So I'm actually going to break it. I'm going to break it, and I'm going to pull up the same environment, but without a CA. There's not going to be a CA for this. All right. So to do that, I'm going to tear down this other environment. So it's actually already set up to do that. The only thing I really have to do is remove. We need to remove the. Well, we need to do a proper delete. Let's just do a proper delete on them all. Minikube. I have this is scripted as well, but I'm going to do it explicitly. Prod. Oh, -P prod. -P prod. Dev. This I have to do this because it gets rid of all the hooks into the KVM underlying system. If you don't do that, you get really weird results. All right, now this is what I had to delete those before I did what I'm about to do. So I am blowing away the .minikube directory completely. So the reason I'm doing this is because if you look at the Minikube directory, you'll see that if you want to set up your own CA, the way to do that is before you even start Minikube, as far as I know, is you create a .minikube/certs directory, and you put the name, you put your cert, your root CA that you want to use for your cluster in there, and for any other Minikube. So every Minikube that's booted up using this, this CA will sign the certs that are generated by Minikube. Okay, and that's what'll happen. I'm just realizing now that this is not going to break anything because Minikube's too smart to make a shitty cert. In order for this to work, I'm going to need to I'd have to use a kubeadm thing and create a shitty cert that doesn't have the DNS IP address or the DNS or IP address for that given server. Yep. One of the things I could probably do is I could put it in the host table and then have it like yell at me. Or I wonder if it's going to resolve the IP anyway. It's going to be very hard to break this with Minikube because Minikube knows how to make proper certs. So that's actually a problem. Because we don't want proper certs, right? We want a cert that doesn't have the right DNS name in it so I can prove that that's the problem. Let me see. I don't even know. I mean, let's... All right, so there's no Minikube now. I mean, this is going to work, actually. Yeah. It's still going to work. It'll fail at first because it doesn't know about the Minikube cert. But then when we add the Minikube cert, I want to at least see what it looks like. We can like see... Actually, we can also see how kubeadm inside of Minikube creates the certs by default to get an idea of what a good-looking cert looks like. So let's do that. So let's say this is going to take some time because it's going to fire up 3 clusters from scratch and it's going to download the container images. Hello, you're on Candid Camera. Hi, you're going to the studio? Mm-hmm. All right. Love you. Man, you're soft. You've been putting stuff on. All right. All right. Bye. So we're firing up the Minikube. On a this is on a Linux machine. In case you're wondering, this is running on a Ubuntu server. We're running Minikube over here, which has got KVM on it. Yep. And so when this is done, we'll have 3 clusters running. And they will be called Minikube-driver, and we can then go look at their IPs. We created 3 realms of Keycloak, by the way, rather than 3 separate instances of Keycloak, which is the same equivalent. So that's actually the way to do it. I don't know why we have multiple Keycloak. The only reason I know that we do this is because if the infrastructure goes down, cluster goes down, and the Keycloak goes down, then access to all the clusters goes down. So there is kind of an argument to have one instance of Keycloak for each cluster. They're all backed by the same LDAP authentication, and we don't have any LDAP backing right now. That's something I want to add later, but it's not critical to what I need to do for work right now. This is, however, getting the right certificate configuration is definitely very important. So see how it's generating certs and keys? Before it was generating the certs and keys, it was signing them using the root CA that went with other stuff. Now, this is an important thing too, is that this might actually fail to authenticate because Minikube doesn't know about the CA for the Keycloak OIDC provider. It's very possible that because of that, it won't work because it can't phone home to the OIDC provider, right? And that would be a problem. That would be a problem because then I can't, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if what happens with that. I mean, it shouldn't be able to phone home, right? Because that root CA is not in Minikube. The root CA that's used by the Keycloak server isn't there. Oh, we're adding our RBAC rules. Okay, so there are that's not RBAC rules, our rule bindings, sorry. And okay, so now we've got these new IPs. I'm gonna go back over to our command and get our OpenSSL. What is it? Show certs. Let's change this to, what are we going to change it to? Let's do, we were doing prod, so we'll do this one. And we should get quite a different certificate, actually. If at all. Wow, it does not look happy. What the hell? 39.122? Oh. 39.122. All right. There we go. All right, so now look at this. We got 3 certs in the keychain. I think it local issue or certificate unable to verify the first certificate. Yep. No, Rust has no future. No, Rust has got a specific future, but I would never use it based on the project team. That's my short answer. All right, so this cert is not a CA. Minikube made this. This is a CA that was made by Minikube. And then it signed itself. Yeah. So I can almost promise you that if I do a kget pause, it's going to fail, right? First of all, let's update. We're going to update the kubeconfig. Let's use the kubeconfig file, the kubectl commands. So kubectl, wait. Let's see. So let's do this. Set context prod. No. K config set cluster prod scale verify equals false. Is that a thing? No. We need to set what am I looking for? Oh, the server. Yeah. We need the server to be HTTP S 38.22 168.39.122. Learn Go if you want a job. And that should be 8443. Temp cube config server prod. Yeah. Okay, so we have no certs, so it should fail. Yep. We need to do, actually, I'm going to have to update it in this. I didn't want to, but we're going to have to. So, yeah, was it 39.122? This is actually not going to get a cert. Yeah, I'm going to show you. Go install. It's because I strongly doubt it's going to get us. I'll put it that way. Okay, prod. Okay, login. Prod's the default. This will update the token. Okay, so now we've got can't talk to the API server. Failed to verify certificate signed known authority. So there we go. Unable to connect to the server TLS. Failed to verify certificate signed by unknown authority. Because Minikube set off its own thing, right? But by using the client command, we can see which cert was used and add it to the keychain, right? So I can just get rid of this. That's the one that was generated by Minikube, and I can now add it. So I can say set cluster. We could say certificate authority, temp var, embed certs. And now when we do kube config, it should be in here, certificate authority, and that should work. Different problem. Can get current server API. The server asked for client to provide credentials. Couldn't get current server API group list. Interesting. I wonder if skip TLS no verify is going to work on that. I doubt it, actually. Yeah. See, the server has asked for the client to provide credentials. We did, though. You must be logged into the server. The server has asked you for the login. Didn't I already do that? 3922. Go install. Okay, login. So it's not logging me in. That's interesting. That is very interesting. It actually is logging me in. It's just not it's not able to validate the token. Yeah, that is very interesting. So, because that is a very wrong error. That error is not what's happening. You must be logged into the server. So it's telling me I didn't log into the server, but I guarantee you I logged into the server. I'm going to show you. So grep token from kube config. So there's all my tokens. I have a token. Yep. The reason it's failing is because, as I said, the root CA of the OIDC server is not here. How come I was able to... It must be because I'm trying to decide how I was able to phone home. To the TLS provider. SC local share. Yeah, okay. So we actually do have a cert loaded currently. That's why. So the validation, the login failed because the token that I sent had been signed by the intermediate CA for Keycloak. And then Kubernetes Minikube tried to phone home to that OIDC provider as provided in the token and ask, hey, is this valid? And it failed to communicate. It failed to be able to talk to it because it doesn't know the root CA. It's not signed. So, but the error was very cryptic. The error is very, very cryptic. It says couldn't get current server API group list. The server has asked the client to provide credentials. So I actually did provide a credential. It just doesn't like the credential I provided. Now, if I was to add, if I were to add the kube config, certs authority, wait, what? If I were to add these the CA information down here, it'll work. See the client key authentication. This has got the cert still in it somehow. That's weird. Why did it? Profiles, inf client cert. These look like these were added. Yeah. So this is good old client cert authentication. So this authentication will work. This is why I can do get pods over here and it'll work. So, and I don't have to log in because it's using client cert authentication, which is much more draconian and powerful. But so, I mean, the only reason I'm even talking about this is because you see how these things are all using a root CA. I didn't know that Minikube did that. That's interesting. So Minikube actually creates its own CA and then stores it as a file. Interesting. And I was able to talk to Minikube, but Minikube can't validate the token. That's where I got those errors. That's why I'm pausing on those errors. Yeah, I know. I already got that to work. I'm now trying to break it in a controlled way, LPG. I'm trying to model the problem I'm having at work. So, yeah, I mean, this whole thing works. I've got the whole thing to work. My lab environment works flawlessly. The problem is that the exact same code at my work doesn't work because the certs are fucked up. And so I need to do that. Yeah, QBA server can't talk to Keycloak. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I deliberately removed that. I specifically removed that to break it in that way. What I'm probably going to do is, in order for me to break this properly, I have to make my own certs, because I have to simulate what these admins did when they broke our system by putting the wrong fucking certs out there. They're not signed by anything, and they don't have the actual host names of the API servers in the list of cert alt names. And I'm 95% sure that the only way to fix this, the only way to fix the problem from this fucked up Kubernetes cluster at my job right now, all of them, is to reissue the cert, or to issue a cert that's got the additional DNS, secondary DNS entries in it, so that our API servers will actually work, and then distribute those certs with the key login program, or the kubectl login program, so that I can authenticate against that. Or to have those certs signed by one of our other global CAs, which are configured on every single system. Either way, the third possibility is to hard code TLS no verify into every single kubectl login plugin that any of our developers ever use, which is how we have it now. And this is kind of sad, because in order for me to break this, I have to set up my own Kubernetes cluster using kubeadm and fuck up the certs on purpose in order to simulate it. I need to pause here, because I don't know if it's worth the time for me to come up with that answer or not. Because, yeah. So the error message we're getting is I'm just going to put it in my thing. Yeah. Of all right, so this is the error. Unable to connect to server X5. So the certificate is valid for not whatever, which means it wasn't included in the server cert and restart it. No need to redistribute anything. You actually need to regenerate the Kube API server cert and restart it. So the cert needs to be recreated so that it contains these missing hosts, right? You found a link to it? Nice. Good old Stack Exchange. Good old Stack Exchange. Oh, wrong thing. How can I add an additional IP host into my Kubernetes certificate? What I don't understand is why it wasn't always there in the first place. Also, it assumes the kubeadm bootstrap cluster, which is what we are using. Yeah. So kubectl-n kubesystem get config map data cluster configuration kubeadm. You'll first need your kubeadm configuration file. Oh, I've been wanting to know how to get that. Yeah, I'm gonna go do that right now. We're gonna take a break. I'm gonna go do that because I want to see what my certs are. I don't think there's any IPs in here. I don't think there are. How does it work right now? Because we turned TLS validation off. Yep. We turn TLS validate and verify off in every single kubectl file. Yeah. Oh, exclamation point, he says. Exactly, right? Which you're not supposed to do. We spent some time talking about that this morning. You only do that on test machines, right? So if you don't take anything away from this video, take this away. Don't turn on insecure skip TLS verify. Don't do it. Go through the work of making sure you do it right, and then you will never have this problem. So you'll never have this problem. So right now, this is insecure skip TLS verify is on. Otherwise, it can't authenticate. I'm Savage. I'm Mike Savage, or whatever his name is. Yeah, I'm not, but people keep saying I look like him. And I'm like, nice. I like the dude. He's a nice dude. So I have learned a couple more debugging techniques. It's against the entire purpose of TLS. Exactly. How this thing made it into production for the last 3 fucking years, I have no idea. Okay? And I'm complaining about my place of work right now. My wife, when I get ranty like this, she goes, dude, it's just job security. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But the crazy thing is that I set it up right the first time in a lab over 3 days. It's still encrypted. Yeah, that's what people would say. It's just subject to man-in-the-middle attack. So it's not like I'm giving away, some super secret. The thing I do want to find interesting here is that this error So it's actually getting the cert and everything. So I tried to recreate the error by removing the root CA authentication from my Minikube, who does not know about my interim CA, so it now can no longer validate the token. And so I get this really, really weird error that says this, right? This is actually, I'm going to capture this because this is what an error looks like when your Kubernetes server cannot authenticate the token because the root CA was not there. That is a very esoteric error that has, I want to remember that because it's kind of a chicken and the egg situation, but I want to make sure that I know how to identify that error if it ever pops up again. Right. So, create error when Minikube doesn't have CA matching OIDC provider. When attempting to do any command with kubectl against a Minikube cluster that has not had the root CA added to .minikube/certs before creation, the following misleading errors occur. This is corrected. This is really the Kate's server, API server, complaining that it cannot authenticate the OIDC token passed by kubectl. TBAPR serverless host. No, that's not there. It's absolutely not there. Yep. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I'll never forget. After going through all this research, I will never, ever forget to do that. By the way, when you're setting up a Kubernetes cluster at home, make damn sure that you emulate a root CA enterprise environment, because that's likely what you're going to hit. You know what's even more frustrating is that the OIDC provider does have a global sign cert. So you would think that, hey, if we don't have the certs right, the OIDC provider connect to get the token is going to fail, and the Minikube, authentication of the validation of the token would fail. That they would both fail, because but the problem is that the cert that's being reported from the OIDC provider is valid. So I can actually go to the OIDC provider with my Klogin programs plugin, and I can get a token fine. I can get a token and fine, and then I hand off that token over to Minikube, and Minikube checks into the same OIDC provider and says, "Oh, sorry, you don't pass because you don't have the right information in your cert." Now, the thing that's super interesting about this is that this error right here, this last one, this error here is a different one. So wait, let me show you the other one. So what is it? Z certificate. Actually, authority curl CA cert. This error here is actually being created by a Kubernetes server that successfully connects to the OSDC provider, gets the information, and then does the validation. So this error only happens if all the other only happens if the OIDC provider successfully gave a token to be used in kubectl config, set credentials, and the Kubernetes cluster and the cluster was able to successfully connect to that same OIDC provider to validate the token, but found that the token did not include the host name or IP of the kubectl config set cluster server of value. So this is why this is an interesting one, because this is all of the pipes worked, all of the connections worked, all of the connections to the OIDC worked, the signing to even make, if the other error is an error because it can't even initiate a connection because it doesn't have the CA and it can't properly talk to HTTPS. This is a separate error. This is an error that says, hey, I was able to talk to the OIDC provider about your token, and I asked it about your token, and it says, and I'm looking at the token, and it gave me back some data about this token, but I'm not seeing the IP for this server. Those things are not going together. So this is let's see. So invalid certificate DNS IP error on Kubernetes. So that's what this is saying. This is saying you have a cert, but your cert's screwed up, dude. You need to fix your cert, right? The reason this is so interesting is you would almost never, in fact, you would never get this error if you use Minikube, because Minikube is going to use kubeadm to properly create a certificate that has the IP number in it that matches. In fact, I really want to look at the X509 certificate. In fact, let's do that right now. I'm going to prove that. So if you look at the X509 certificate with OpenSSL view, we should see that the cert does not have, the Minikube cert only has the IP number in it, and that's why it works. And there's no way we can change that cert. If we could, it would be cool. I don't know how to do that. Is there a way to update an existing cert? Probably not. But yeah, lives at Etsy Kubernetes PKI API server.cert. I don't have any certificate managers. I'm talking about Ingress. Yes. I mean, I knew that they lived there. That part I knew, but I didn't know. I want to be clear that we do have to add that extra cert. Okay. So that's the stack exchange link. Yep, I remember. And so just a second here. I want to try something. So Minikube, I want to actually look at the certs that Minikube made, right? So here inside of Minikube, we have all these certs. We have the ca.pem file. That's the one that you need to copy over to the other machine if you want to use it. OpenSSL X509. Isn't it view? I forget which one it is. I don't remember. Adds all IPs of all up interfaces to the SAN list. Does it? That's what Minikube adds. Very cool. Very cool. This is the kind of thing I'm looking for to understand. So dates, certs, text. Yeah. Oh, so it does the whole range. X59 NCA out. Yeah. I should have that memorized. Yeah, I forgot it was in. No out dash X. Yeah. All right, so it is a CA, obviously, and that's interesting. Issuer equals WX Rob. That's interesting. That must be my username. All right, so it created a root CA, and then it signed using that. I thought it would be called Minikube root CA, but I guess not. Where's the IP of it? It doesn't have. That's not the cluster CA. That's just for the other stuff. How would I even find it? The clusters. Oh, it's in profiles, right? Yeah, I remember seeing that part. It'd be the Minikube one, right? API key, API server, client server config JSON. Is this a kubeadm config? It is, right? Huh. I mean, one of the things I really like about Minikube that I'm learning is that it uses kubeadm, so the artifacts are the same thing you would be using if you use kubeadm to set up your server. No, it's a Minikube thing. Okay. Let's do API server.crt. Yeah, there they are. There's the addresses. So it was prod. So there's the prod address, IP address. That's why it works. That's why it works. If that was not there, it wouldn't work. Now, to be fair, I actually want to test something. Kubernetes at default Kubernetes. I actually want to test something. I want to add a host entry and put that as my server configuration value in my Minikube and my kubeconfig, and see if the IP is automatically resolved. I suspect that the tool will do that. But it's possible that it won't. So it does really raise the question of whether you should have IPs or DNS names in your certs, right? Or you should have an IP range or something. Yeah. So okay, this is super interesting. Okay, so let's keep going down this path here. So sh home. Okay, login. Am I already connected? Maybe not. Podman. IT to login. Oh. Code from the above. You can reproduce adding a host name in Etsy hosts. Yeah, that's what I was going to do. That's exactly what I was going to do. So I'm on the right page. Good. I didn't read your other thing, but that's what I was going to try to do. Yeah, because then I'm going to... The reason I'm doing this is I want to do my due diligence so I can say, look, I recreated this error by doing X and Y, and this is how I fixed it. You see what I'm saying? So yeah. So first of all, let's get pods. This should actually not work. All right, so we actually have to... Okay, let's back up a bit. We have to fix the cluster, right? So right now my cluster config is cluster fucked on purpose because I deliberately removed the interim CA cert, right? So I'm actually going to fix that now. And I'm going to actually test another thing at the same time. Yeah, I remember this exchange answer by just adding it to the thing. Yeah. So, but I want to get to the point where we recruit the error first. So what I want to do now is I want to test how Minikube works. So I'm not completely convinced of how Minikube deals with this stuff. So you'll see in certs here that there's nothing here, right? I don't know if it's going to make new certs when I make a new cluster or not, but I'm going to try it. So it's the first thing we're going to do because I don't want to have to empty the Minikube and run that entire recreation again. So the way to do that is to copy a shared, let's see, no, tilde shared, the interim CA, which is, that is the cert, that is the all-powerful root CA for this region. It's actually the same cert that serves up the Keycloak stuff. And when you have this cert in the search directory, when you start Minikube for the first time, it creates a ca.cert and all that stuff, and it signs everything using that cert. So your cert chain includes it. And that allows it to talk to your Keycloak server, which is being served up from the root CA, the same cert, which is why we're getting those errors, because we don't have that. So we have to fix that back to where we had it before. And I don't know what is going to be sufficient to fix that. I don't know if, doing a delete and then a restart is going to do it, or if but we're going to find out. We're going to find out. So I'm just going to run this. So my start OADC Minikube script loops through 3 Kubernetes clusters, all using different realms on the same Keycloak server, with no LDAP backing or anything, just by itself. And then we create a cluster role in each of those brand new servers. There is actually, first of all, it tears it down. There you go, Minikube delete. It tears down the individual server cluster, the Kubernetes cluster, and then it rebuilds it, adds a role binding, starts it up, and actually installs the Kubernetes dashboard, which is what we were testing, and then prints out the profiles list. The only thing I did is I added the interim.crt file to the Minikube/certs, in the hope that tearing down and rebuilding the clusters without downloading the VMware or the KVM images is going to be possible. It may very well not be possible. I might have to, remove the .minikube directory entirely, but I want to try. So we're going to go ahead this route first. Hey, Porsche Filth, how are you? They're not at all released to Kubernetes certs. Okay. So here you'll see it got rid of it and it's making a new one. Now the real question here is it going to recreate the certs using the interim.crt file, or did that need to be detected the first time it started up or something? I don't know. We're going to find out. It's rather magical how Minikube sees a cert file in the .minikube/certs file in the first place, and then uses it to sign everything. It always makes me wonder what happens if I put 2 of them in there. And I'm sure there's documentation about that somewhere, but sometimes experimentation is faster than documentation. So we're going to go ahead and let that build. There we go. Configuring bridge CNI, done. Remove dev. Okay, so now we're doing dev. Wait, did prod get done already? All right, so we can actually start playing with prod already. Now this is gonna make me log in. Yeah. Oh wait, we don't even have the IP right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to update all the IPs in here, which is fine. That's not a hassle. We probably are gonna have to add the certificate authority, but I'll do that later. But these IPs are gonna need to be updated. So what was prod's? It didn't say where I put prod. I mean, I could get another box over there. We're almost done. So we're going to change these numbers for prod. Client secret key is fine. These are all the same on Keycloak. We actually don't have client secrets because you don't need them if you don't use confidential clients, which you don't need to have if you're doing resource password grant flow. So this was unnecessary client secrets in my case, but it's a good test anyway. Generating certs. I should have taken a break. I blew right through my break. Here we go. There's a dashboard. And boom. Okay, so prod is 39.202. 39.202. Dev is 50.229. I could make them the same every time if I spent a little bit more time on this, but you know, whatever. Inf is 61.45. 61.45. Let's go ahead and install it. That installs a kubectl-login program, which then serves as a plugin for my klogin, my alias, so I can just type login and run it, and this will log me into prod. And it won't be enough though, because it's not going to provide the cert, so we want that. All right, so get pods will fail because why? Because we're not providing the cert. TLS failed to verify certificate. So those errors are different. Those are errors because the cert that's being passed is not good. So I need to provide the CA for that. And well, actually, no, that's the same error we were getting before. That makes me think that the CA cert is still a problem. Yeah. This is, that's interesting. May not go. Prod is 39.202. 39.202. 39.202. Uh-oh. All right, so what we've just confirmed is that it did not redo the certification. It's the certs. It did not sign them properly. So that's what we're seeing. So my little side test, the Kubernetes cluster CA, which is generated by Minikube kubeadm on bootstrapped, and that's the problem. So my test was to see if I had to completely reinitialize Minikube in order to get my interim cert to become the CA that signs everything else from that point on, or if I could just add it and it would detect it. And it did not detect it. It very clearly did not detect it. So the answer to that is simply we're going to have to drop everything again. So we're going to this is how we broke this in the first place on purpose. So we're going to do Minikube qmove delete. This will be a good time for me to take a break. -p dev inf prod. All right, we should have no clusters and no underlying KVM infrastructure for those now. And now we can safely remove -rf.minikube. Now to bootstrap or to create a brand new Minikube, you need to totally obliterate the Minikube directory. And then, I don't know why, but this is what you have to do. You make a directory called .minikube, called certs. You put the root CA into that directory that you want to use. So we're going to copy that from shared interim CA, which is the same used by Keycloak and everybody. Shared. And you put that into the Minikube certs. And that will cause... oh, it certainly does. It absolutely does. Yeah, because I use it. I'm going to use it right now, so I'm doing it. So you copy the interim CRT into the Minikube /certs, And now I know because I validated, because I looked at the certs and they were all signed by interim.crt if you do these steps. So now with that is the only thing in there. And the reason it didn't work last time when I added it is because there was a bunch of other certs that were already pre-created, which means that when Minikube itself bootstraps, right, it pulls in whatever's in the certs directory and uses that to sign. And I have not been able to find any information about that other than the Stack Exchange stuff that shows how to make your own CA for Minikube, and that's where I found out about that. So here, having a private key of the CA. I don't need to though, because it just uses this. Watch, I'll show you. It'll work. I don't know why it works, but it does. It doesn't have to do the signing. It creates a different signing cert and it uses the interim CA cert, I promise you. I hope I'm wrong, because I would love to understand why. I know normally you would have to do the signing. But you only have to bring in that one. You don't have to bring the key in, which I thought was weird too. So I think it's just because it has to do validation against it and it doesn't have to do any signing with it. I think it still creates its own cert. What it does is it creates a cert underneath that it has signing authority on. Let's open it, verify, open SSL, verify, Minikube, certs, interim. So that's, yeah. Yes, verification failed. So why does it work? This totally works. I'm going to show you. Well, yeah, but this works. I'm telling you, this works. So that means whatever Minikube is doing, it's enough to get it to validate the certificates. Just sign a leaf cert instead. Yeah, I've done it. I did it all night last night. I have video. I have like tons of video of it working. So what it does is it takes that thing and then it uses that interim.crt to sign. It creates a new cert from that. I already saw that because I looked at the cert chain. Look, so you do this. You do. Well, let's just run our start again. So again, I'm just running those new clusters. Let's do it again. Start. I don't think I was. I don't know. We'll see. I've gotten this to work overwhelmingly. It's the only way I could do my testing. I actually completed all my testing. I deployed it and it works. So and the ca.crt file that comes out of Minikube is the one that has to be added. Now, whether or not that file is being signed by the interim.ca that I created, or CRT file that I found, that's up for grabs, because when I first saw this, I noticed that when this is done, that I compared it, because I tried to copy the interim.crt file over and use that for client credentials in the cluster section of the kubeconfig on the client host. And then I that didn't work. And I was like, well, what's going on here? And then, so I copied over the minikube/ca.crt file, and I noticed the files weren't the same. So I started looking in the JWT inside of it and looking and using OpenSSL to view it. And I noticed that the ca.pem or the ca.crt file that's under .minikube was actually a subcert from the interim.crt RWX cert. So that's why I think that. Now, maybe I misunderstood, but that's why I think I actually saw it in black and white. It was like, this cert is coming from the other cert over there. And that would explain why that's, because I was wondering, why is this a different cert from the one that serves up the Keycloak stuff? And they're different. Because Minikube still has to generate its own. And I don't know if I could get it to use the same one or not. Yeah. On clients, you should only use the root CA, not the intermediate. I used to sign and leave certs. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I agree with that. Yeah, in our case, we have a really, really big certificate chain, right? So we have like an entire department that, it's got its own root CA, but it's actually, you know, those are not the Kubernetes certs. Yes, they are. They are the certs that are necessary to talk to the Kubernetes API. If you're going to split hairs over the naming, that's fine. So they're literally entered into the cluster, the cluster configuration. So I don't know how they're not Kubernetes certs. Yeah. Root to root CA. Yep. So the case are in profiles prod certs. Well, yeah, and that's that. Okay, so I'm glad you said that, because that's what I've been trying to tell everybody, is that the certs that I need to put into the cluster CA are totally different from the Kubernetes certs. There's the Kubernetes certs that are used internally too, which is totally different, and I don't want to get into that. It's going to get confusing. But so first things first, let's go ahead and change this. So now, in order to get this to work, I have to, I'm trying to remember if I had to copy over the, you know what, I don't think I did, actually. Wait, well, how come I'm not on there anymore? Oh man, PS. What the hell? Oh. Oh, I'm already there. Oh, derp. Okay, so, what I was trying to say is, so, yeah. So ca.crt, this file right here is the one that I've been using, and that file is copied from Minikube ca.crt. So that's the TLS cert in order to even talk to the server API. Yeah, I know about the profiles one. All right, so I'm going to do main here. So let's update these again. They should be working now. Prod is 39.243. Dev is 50.117. It's funny how it picks the same subnets. 61.20. And this will fail because the CA won't be right. Yeah. Yep. So I have to copy. I have to sudo copy .minikube ca .pem into, is it CRT? I mean, it doesn't matter which one. So minikube.pem into /shared. Oh. And I have to chmod plus R that file. No, I did that wrong. I did that way wrong. C.pem. All right, so over here, I just need to add that CA file. So kconfig set cluster prod -ca certificate authority /shared ca.pem. Okay, get pods TLS verified XLFI and signature by unknown authority. So it's still, we're getting there. No, this is not it. This is a different problem completely. This is not related to that other problem. No, this is related to the problem we're trying to debug that I tried to create on purpose. Yep. Yes. And I bet you it's because the kubeconfig file is not there. Shared c.pem. Yep, that's the one. I think that's the same one. I wonder if that other CRT is different. This should not work at all. Yeah. Okay, so that's a different error. Can I guarantee the server AP because it's not the same one? Yep. That's what we should have happen. But the PEM file actually can talk to the Minikube. Docker machine, which Minikube reuses the drivers of. This is, I swear this works. Now I need to figure out how it was talking to. I was definitely talking to this yesterday. And I did not copy anything from the profiles directory. So I definitely did this. I'm trying to recreate the steps now. Yep. That validation is different. That's a totally different error. That's a different error. This is the same kind of error that signed by unknown authority. How did I do that? The interim. I wonder if I accidentally copied that certificate on the top of the other one. I think this error is the same one being generated, that the Minikube can't talk to the Minikube can't talk to the Keycloak server. That's what I think's happening. I think this is because Minikube can't talk to the Keycloak server. And yeah. Fail to verify certificate. Signed by unknown authority. Yeah, I mean, and I know how to get around this, by the way. This one is the easy one to get around. But it's insecure to do this. PEM. Yep. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. Well, if this fixes it, then okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Verify TLS. Skip TLS verify. If this works, then you're right. Nope. This is the upstream token CA problem. This is a different one. Yeah. This is the OIDC error. Okay. So we got by the talking to it. I was using this all night last night without a problem and without disabling skip secure TLS. So I must have I used it all night. There's video of me doing it. I can go back and watch the video and prove it. Yeah, and I didn't touch anything in the profiles directory. What I'm wondering is if the default profile might have been involved with this. What you're suggesting is that the documentation on how to get a root CA to work with Minikube by creating a .minikube/certs file and putting a direct cert in there is wrong. But I followed those steps and it worked. It doesn't. Well, it could be any number of things. You know that. So one of the possibilities is that the interim cert that was created. Yeah, I don't know, but it's definitely worked. It worked a lot, and I need to be able to recreate it. So this is important. So, I mean, it makes me want to think if I may have broken something in my startup script. Make sure to put the root CA or interim CA into Minikube certs before running this first time, so it can be used. So that it will be used to create minikube.ca.crt, which will be referenced from kubeconfig under the cluster. That is a thing. I think that there's something different going on about how Minikube is getting configured. I do. I think that you see how it's putting is to see their Minikube.ca cert. Oh, you know what? I copied the wrong file over. Oh, I'm pretty sure I copied the wrong file over just now, because minikube.ca crt, see that? I copied the PEM file over. Yeah, I gotta prove it because I need to know what's happening. So copy dot, let's see, sudo copy dot minikube. That PEM, who knows what the fuck that other thing is? Minikube ca dot crt. I copied the PEM over and not the crt. Yeah. Okay. Whew. This is gonna work. I'm very confident this is gonna work. Copy because copy that over into the share directory. It's gonna want a password, and then chmod plus r. Normally you wouldn't do that, obviously. ca.crt, so that Minikube can answer, and then over here we should change .cube config to be, oh, let's add it the right way. So certificate authority CRT. Okay, get pods. Oh wait, we have to log in again. I actually probably don't have to log in because I'm already logged in. Can get current server API group list. The server asks for the client to provide credentials. I can't remember if that's the second one or the first one, the OIDC error. Wait, I don't need to log in. I already have a token. Oh no, wait. We have to get a new token. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Let me try. Did I already update these? Minikube profile list 50. $61.20. All right. All right, let's add the CA stuff. So certificate authority, shared CA. I mean, I was using this all fucking night and it worked. So I don't know what's going on. Go install. Okay, login. There we we go. It works. See? It works. Thank God. I was going crazy. All right, so let's think about this for a second. Because we've had some discussion about what that file actually is, that it's not a Kubernetes cert. So what the hell is it? Because whatever it is, I need to find it in our cluster at work. I think I know where to find it, but yeah. Is the CA signed by interim? Yes, it is. And that's something we found. I was like, why the hell is this working when it's a totally different file? So let's go look at this. So this is, it didn't make any sense to me at all. So X509 in shared CRT PEM. Oh, wait, what? ca.crt no out text. So it is a CA. This is where I knew this is what kind of like it's a Minikube CA. But doesn't that have to be signed by I still don't get it. I swear to God, this thing is signed by interim CA. Wait, it should say issuer, right? Issuer CN equals Minikube CA. That would make more sense. Honestly, this makes more sense to me because randomly putting interim.cert into the minikube.certs file always seemed weird to me. It's like, how the hell does it even know to use it? I think what this suggests is that, I don't know. It doesn't even have the IPs in it or anything either. Is that the same cert at... No, wait. This is the CA that's signing the other profile certs. Okay. Oh, okay. I think I just proved your point. Yep. I think I just proved your point. Because the profile certs... it's self-signed CA. Yeah, this one is. I swear to God, I have seen a CA in Minikube that was signed by interim. The reason this is working is because the profile certs that are actually here. I want to confirm the profile certs are actually what I think they are. So, like, if I do that, okay, this explains why. Because this is working, but it's not doing what I thought it was doing. I'm about to prove that now because I feel like I know how to. So if I do an OpenSSL S client, and I, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this against, and we're going to break it by changing the IP and the DNS later. That's the ultimate goal. It should be signed by Minikube CA. Right. That's what I'm saying. So, but what I want to show is that the cert that's actually reported by S client from the remote system is a cert that has been signed by Minikube CA and not by interim CA. And the reason the communication works is because that line of communication for TLS outside of Kubernetes is just accessing the API server. To me, that counts as Kubernetes. But so the kubectl is accessing the API server and it's using its self-signed cert, which is going to have the IP number in it. I'm going to prove that. And that's what I want to show. I want to show that those certs are the same thing, or at least they have the same IP information in them, and that's why they're fine. So the communication, I need to draw a picture of this. So the communication between kubectl and Minikube has nothing to do with phoning home to the OIDC provider. Right? The phoning home to the OIDC provider is only required to sign the token, to create a connection, sign a token. And what I think is happening is that the interim CA that I set up, the key cloak is being served under, is irrelevant. because the Minikube, I think this is what you're trying to say, LBG, is that the kubectl is talking to Minikube cluster API server, and it's just giving, it's handing out the cert to handle that communication right there. And the way that I got rid of the error was I told it that this self-signed CA, the CA used to do the self-signing, Minikube CA, is now an authorized signer, and I added that to the CA certificate authority. So I'm still on this thing, because whatever that CA is, the equivalent of the Minikube CA that gets generated in minikube/ca.crt, that file, I need to find the equivalent of that file in our production environment, and I can't find it. But there's a lot of confusion about what cert it is that needs to become, that you need to add to client credentials, right, to certificate authority. That dash certificate authority file, what is it, right? And one of the things I read said to go to OpenSSL and pull it down that way. But I have a feeling that when you do an OpenSSL S-client show certs, you're going to get the cert chain. But if it's a self-signed cert, you're not going to get the CA. You're only going to get that cert, and that's why it's not particularly useful. Yeah. Created by kubeadm, put out the profiles folder, but it looks like it trusts the same CA for all clusters. Yeah. Put your CA. Yeah, the same CA for all clusters and puts it in Minikube ca.crt. That's in Etsy Kubernetes PKI ca.crt. Yeah, and by the way, that's what everybody tells me to go get. Assuming you get access to your API servers, which I'm having problems with right now too. I actually don't think I need access to it. I actually think OpenSSL client will give you access to the cert. Now, you're going to need to update the cert and reissue it to have the right IP address, and that gets back to the core problem, right? This is a really freaking cool trick. The use of show certs to get. I don't care where the cert lives. I don't care where it lives in disk. I want the actual reported cert for a given target, and that includes. I think this includes the CA. I mean, shouldn't it include the CA, or is this the cert the leaf cert that was created from the CA? I have actually done this. Let me show you. So I have done this on stuff where I know that there's like a good trust chain. Let me give you an example of this. So like home.rvx.gg:8443. This is my keycloak server, right? And this hands off a cert, that a PEM file, and it gives you the certificate chain. It tells you who the issuer is and everything. Now, as I understand it, this is the leaf cert. So, you probably wouldn't want to use this. I don't know though. So it does say certificate chain. See here, right? So we have home.rdvx.gg. So that is the one. That is the cert, and then yeah. What I can't tell is this PEM file here. If I lost, yes. The root CA is for the client to know in advance and trust. So, yeah. The root CA is for the client to know in advance and trust. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna go look at this PEM file, this JWT or whatever it is. And it hands off a session and everything. So what I don't know is this the CA, or is that the cert just for this particular transaction? Or is that the leaf cert issued to... I think this is the leaf cert, because it would have issuer on it, right? Yeah, see, there's the issuer. Yeah, so the issuer is RWX. Okay, that makes sense. So this is a server cert. This is not a CA. It was made from the RWX Rob ICA. That's what it was made from. That's what the II is, the issuer, right? But it doesn't tell you the issuer cert. So, and this is again, this is the problem I'm having. Actually, this is helpful. So, I mean, I don't, I think if it's signed from the same thing, I say, what I have tried to do is put the server cert into the CA certificate authority line, and that does work, actually. That does work. Let's actually check that right now. Yeah. All right, so that's working because we're pointing at the CA. But I want to test something here. So I want to mess up the CA. I want to mess the CA up. So if I take the CA out, this will fail because it can't verify the certificate, right? Now, rather than take the CA from Minikube /ca.crt, I want to see what happens when I grab the same cert as reported by S client over the wire and see if that will work. And it'll interpret that you trust a specific server cert, but it's not the right thing to do, but it'll do it. Yeah. That's what I think too, LBG. We actually agree on that. I think that's what it's going to do, but that's not the right thing to do, right? The right thing to do is to go get the PKI Kubernetes ca.crt file and distribute that. That's the right thing to do. So, because that's the actual CA, that's not just a server cert. I mean, because they could reissue a server cert at any time and you could get fucked and your kubectl files would be totally fucked. Right. Right. Well, there, believe it or not, there's actually value in figuring this out, because right now, when I'm getting the errors reported, I can't find the ca.crt file. I know where it is on the system, and we need to get that. But what I want to be absolutely sure of is that the server cert that's reported over OpenSSL client, even though it works, it's the wrong cert to put in your kubeconfig file. That's what I'm trying to say, but I'm super curious to see if it would even work and mislead me if I were to go about doing that. So, but I'm almost positive it actually will work. And the reason I want to know this is because that's the fucking answer on Stack Exchange. So top number answer on Stack Exchange. I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, why would I put a server cert in my client credentials kubectl file so that my kubectl commands will work? That's number one fix on Stack Exchange for this problem. And I was like, what the fuck? Because it's not even a CA. It's not. It's just a server cert, right? Am I getting this wrong? So once again, don't trust stuff you hear on the internet. I mean, that answer on the internet is wrong because it's not a certificate authority. It's a server cert, but it will probably still work. So let's prove that that's true. If that's true, I need to write up that misunderstanding. Configuring kubectl sounds less than, yeah, it won't be because of that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the reason the server cert. So this is what I think can happen. I think there's, and this is what you were getting with the kubeadm config. I think we can add to our kubeadm config someplace on there the additional domain names that we need that are being accessed through remote, kube login, stuff like that. And then when we restart the API server, it will regenerate the server certs, right? When we restart the server, it should regenerate the server certs, and those should be ephemeral. Nobody should give a shit about those. And anybody who has saved one of those server certs into their certificate authority file is going to break. And if they're doing that, they're doing it wrong. And that's why I'm trying to prove that the number one Stack Exchange answer is fucking wrong. Because if that is actually the way it's going to go, we're going to have potentially. I don't want to add the new DNS entry and then potentially break some idiot's kubeconfig file because they have done S-client on Stack Exchange, they read about it, and they've got a server cert in their certificate authority. Most of them wouldn't know to do that. But if they did do that, that's going to break because we're going to issue a new server cert, and the server cert's going to have the new IP address. But you can make the argument that the one that they had never worked in the first place because, well, no, that's right. That's why it's not a problem, because it never ever worked. Their stuff all has TLS no verify on. Yeah, I just realized why hasn't been a problem so far, because they all have hard coded TLS no verify, so this never even comes up. But if any, okay, this is really good. I still want to go through with this experiment. In your kube config. What? You should have the CA in your kube config. No shit. Yeah, I agree. It should be the CA. It shouldn't be the server cert. But I'll show you the Stack Exchange thing that recommends that people put the server cert into their kube config. And now I want to know very clearly how to shoot that shit down, because that is wrong. That's not the way to do it. It's not the way to do it. And I was like, why doesn't this say CA in the header? I was like, so I followed all the steps from Stack Exchange, and I've downloaded the certs using OpenCSS client, which I'm about to do. And then I viewed the certificates with OpenSSL, X509. I was looking through the certs, and there was no cert there was no CA in there anywhere. There was no type equals CA. There wasn't even an issue. Well, there was an issuer actually, but there wasn't the other stuff. And I'm like, this is a server cert. And yet, it worked. It got me past to the next problem by not having the right DNS entry, but that's a different problem. So I'm trying to recreate that. Yeah. See, number one accepted answer. Yeah. I'm not even kidding. Go look. It's like, yeah, it's insane. So, I mean, I to be fair, I'm really grateful. It's better to be insecure. Yeah. To be fair, I actually really like that it taught me about the S client. I've used S client for hacking before, but I had never used it for examining remote certs, and I actually really like that. That's a thing that you can do. Minikube, whoops. Minikube profile list. Prod is 39,243. All right. $39. I have bad memory. 243. 6443. 8443. All right. So, oops. Let me go up here and get this. So, this here, I want to see if it'll work. This is Minikube CA. Oh, so that is the CA. No. That's the issuer. The issuer was the Minikube CA. So this is not the CA, but we want to see if you set this as your CA and is it going to work? I believe it does, but I don't know if we're going to find out. So, all right, so then we're going to add set cluster prod certificate authority to temp foo. I mean, we could embed it too, but no. Let's log in. There, it worked. It worked. Oh my god. I am so glad I understand why that works and why that's so fucking bad. Yeah. You only trust the root. I know, but we just bypassed all of that. Oh, no. It's still using the wrong CA. Wait, did I do that wrong? Oh no, prod is not. Prod is right. Wait, what? How come it didn't do my certificate, update my certificate authority? What the hell? It did not. Oh, we still don't know if it worked or not. Oh, there it goes. I swear to God, I did that. Oh, you know why? Oh, I feel so bad. Because I still have the override in here. Oh, sorry about that. So, because I had to do the login. Yeah, this is the true test of truth. This may not work. It still works. It still works. Yeah. So we know for a fact that if I delete this, it won't work. Oh, no worky. Now it will work. Yep. So we have learned that a server cert will work as a certificate authority, even if it's not a certificate authority. Based on what you were saying, LBG, the profile CA files should also work, correct? And that would be a more official use of a certificate authority file. But we've also learned that all of the profiles are signed by CA by Minikube/CA, and that's why they all worked, because that CA is on top of all the other CAs, right? In fact, if based on that, we should have different certs for each cluster in here. And that's I think the reason it worked, as you said, is it didn't mean it was right, but it definitely worked. Uses a single CA for Minikube CA.crt. Well, we know that Minikube/CA.crt works. We just confirmed that overwhelmingly, multiple times. What I want to know is there anything in /Minikube that they're just client certs. There's like API server cert. But isn't this is a server cert, right? This is the server cert. This is not the cert that we should be sticking in any CA file. So actually, I want to see the signing chain for that. I have a feeling that API server cert is going to be the same one that I just pulled down. I think it is. I think it's exactly the same. I mean, that would make sense, right? Because so that makes sense. The API server at CRT should be the same one that I reported from remotely with the client request, right? It might not be encoded the same way, but it's the same cert. In fact, it may be actually the same cert. KNS equals. Yep, it is. It's exactly the same cert. It is definitely the same cert. Minikube/ca.crt is the one that I've been copying over. So whether that's a root CA and the other one's an intermediate or whatever, we know for a fact now, though, this is very, very good to know, that when I do the OpenSSL client request and I pull down a cert and put that in my cert authority, even though it's a server cert, it works. But we now know where it comes from. I was just able to compare the two. So that cert is the API server leaf cert that's set up by Minikube for the prod profile. So even though we've just confirmed that will work, that is the wrong cert to put in your kubeconfig file. It will work according to Stack Exchange, and we just tested it, but it's the wrong thing to put in there. It's not a CA. The entire point of that argument is certificate authority, not server cert, even though it will work. So the testing and debugging I've been doing has been against a non-CA. I've been doing it against the leaf cert, which I assume has the same DNS subname and domains in it and stuff, but we still don't have the CA. So in the only place to get the CA, because the CA, I thought the CA was going to be communicated over the wire. It's not. As a part of the trust chain, it's not. It's not going to be communicated over the wire part of the trust chain. The only thing we saw over the wire when we did our things, the only thing we saw was, we saw this. We saw we saw that the issuer was Minikube CA or whatever, right? So this is a leaf cert, and it tells you that the CA is who issued it, but this is not the CA. What I'm trying to say is that you can't get, as far as I know, you cannot look up the CA that was used to create a server cert remotely using S-Client. That's my conclusion. I have no idea. Yeah, just server/client certs all signed by Minikube CA.crt. Yeah, I think Minikube/CA.crt is the one cert to rule them all. I think that's the Minikube CA, and I think that signs everything else. And I think the reason for that is so that you can set that, as I was doing during debugging yesterday, and that's why it worked. So I think the important thing that I missed yesterday, though, as you pointed out, is that it had nothing to do with my RWX Rob ICA. It had nothing to do with that. That I added that cert and it was in there and it was all good and everything, but it was never used. So I kind of want to see if I can break something by removing it, and I think I actually might be able to. I think if I remove the interim CA, I won't be able to authenticate against the Keycloak server because I won't have the CA for that. So I think that's what was throwing me. You still have to have the interim CA in .minikube/certs. You still have to have that, but not so that the API to kubectl communication can work. So that the upstream communication with the root CA Keycloak server actually works. And I have a feeling if I don't do this configuration this way, that is not going to work. Right? So the last thing that I could do here would be to change the IP. And I'm actually going to generate that while I still have this working system. And then the other error I want to do is I want to produce an error that I want to rip out interim and then rebuild the Minikube servers without it and see if it can still function. I doubt it won't. It will. I doubt it. I don't think it's going to. That's my hypothesis. I think it won't talk to the upstream OIDC. It won't be able to talk to the OIDC provider because it won't have the root CA. That's what I think. Because there's like all kinds of cautions when you're setting up your Minikube server and stuff like that to make sure you have the root CA, because Go is picky about having a root CA signed thing, and you can't put no validate inside of Kubernetes itself when it's talking to its OIDC provider. So not intermediate. You'd use RWX Rob CA. Yeah. Well, okay. So, but the Keycloak CA, the Keycloak CA is the ICA. It's the intermediate one. You still think that I should distribute the root of that all over the place instead? I mean they both would work, or I assume that both would work, right? Because that's assuming also that I made it right. That's assuming that I created it right. I did a CSR for the intermediate cert from and the root cert using just OpenSSL commands. I may have screwed that up. I thought that was the idea. I mean, well, it really depends on your organization, doesn't it, LBG? I mean, because like, for example, in this case, we could imagine that the root CA is some like all-powerful monolithic thing, right? But that's the very reason why you would only want to distribute that one instead of all the tiny little ones, right? Yeah. Yeah. So I honestly think the only thing I need to do is get the CA, and I'm okay. But by that logic, isn't there a CA that could be potentially above? So if I have three Kubernetes clusters, if they just use kubeadm to create them, and they did not create a CA above the top of them, then Kubernetes is going to be the CA. In which case, I have to put that CA in my configuration to connect to those clusters. Correct? If we had done it right and we had generated those clusters certificates from a common root CA, then that root CA could either be installed on all of our operating systems, or it could have been, or that one CA would be the same for all three. Configure certificates manually. Yeah, that's yeah. Yeah. Yep, Kubernetes CA general, Kubernetes general CA. Well, this is what I find so hard about this is that and kubeadm, Minikube uses kubeadm, so you can usually hook it in there. Yes, I knew that these certs did exist here. The PKI thing, I knew about this. The problem with this is that you don't have to. Do you have to distribute the key as well? You don't, right? No, you don't. You just need the CA because you're not creating anything. You're not signing anything. You're validating signatures. So if you're validating signatures, you don't need the key. If you're signing, you need the key. Okay. So the ca.key file only needs to be on the stuff that's doing the signing. Not by writing the binary. Right. So, yeah, this brings back memories. Yeah. Kube API server, host IP, advertise IP. This is a problem, is our Kube API server cert is wrong. Kubernetes CA is the top. Why can't, I should just be able to put the Kubernetes CA in there, right? I should just be able to put the Kubernetes CA as in my client. Yeah. CA key, recommended key path, CA key. I don't need the key. CA cert. I think that's the cert I should put in everything. I need to go find that. Yeah, I need to go find that on our system. I got to go look on our endpoint machines. I'm going to go do that right now. But before I do that, I want to finish out one test here. So there's a chance that if I put this, there is a slight chance that the reason, okay, so when I got that error about the certs not being there, let me show you. So when I got this, does not have CI matching IDC provider, DNS errors. So when I got this was because I pulled down the server cert, put that in the file, and used it that way, which we've confirmed will work. It's wrong, but it'll work. But the reason I am now interested in that is because that completely worked, except for that the host name of the server was not here. Now, I suspect that server, cert, or CA is still going to have a problem because the IPs and CNs and names and everything that were in the error message are being propagated from the CA. Actually, no, that would be the CSR, right? But the CSR would have been created to generate the Kubernetes cert in the first place. So when kubeadm does that, it's making CSR and it's putting all that data in there. So bottom line, I think it's the same problem. I still think it's going to have the same problem, that my host name, my DNS host name, is not listed in the cert, and therefore it fails. Everything else about it works, making the communication, everything. Yeah. So I still think that that's a problem. And why does that matter? Because I want to test that before we abandon this. And that's what I was originally doing. So even if I have a cert authority working, we can change this to actually, no, let's leave this off for now. Let's leave that off for now. So, okay, get pause. Am I still working? Oh. I have a pretty short timeout. All right, so, and you can only bypass that by using insecure. Okay, I'm glad you confirmed my suspicion because I concluded to everybody else, I said literally the only way anybody's kubectl config file is going to work today is to make a TLS invalid skip, insecure skip TLS verify. It is literally the only way anybody can use our clusters today. And that is not overstating it. And you just said the same thing. So the only way to fix that, from my research, and for you guys are backing me up here, the only way to fix that is to add those DNS entries to the cert and to restart the API servers. That's the only way to fix that. There's nothing that I can add. There is nothing that I can add to the client or pre-populate or the certificate keys or anything like that. There's nothing that on the kube config side that I can fix that will get over a shitty cert that doesn't include the DNS names in the cert of the API server. And to me, that is like a monumental fucking fail. To not have the DNS names of the actual API servers that we're publishing to everybody in the kube config file is a monumental fucking fail. That's a monumental fucking fail in terms of Kubernetes administration, if you ask me. When I saw it, I was like, there's no way this is what's going on here. That's such a big fucking error. That's such a huge, huge, huge ass problem. I don't even know how we got this far. And so I'm sorry, I'm like airing dirty laundry here a little bit. And because our clusters are fucked. Damn, I got to stop saying stuff like that. I am just happy to be validated on this because when I saw it, I thought, being a noob that I am, I thought I was going crazy. And I feel like I understand a lot more now. So a server cert will work according to Stack Exchange, which don't do that. But you need to get the CA. So I need to go get the CA and move it over. I mean, I have to do that in order to rule out the possibility that for some reason our CA has the DNS names in it, and I seriously doubt it does. So I'm going to go ahead and I want to simulate. I'm going to reproduce this error, so just so that I can say I recreated the error in the lab and I fixed it, and this is how we fixed it. I need to be able to say those words, so I'm going to recreate this error in the lab. The error that we're having right now is that the cert is fine, but it doesn't validate because the DNS name is not included of the server API server. So we suspect by adding a host entry, it'll do that because it's behind the scenes, it's not going to resolve it to the IP in order to do the cert comparison. We suspect that that's going to be the reason, and that would make sense too because an IP could resolve to any number of possible IPs. A DNS could resolve to any number of possible IPs depending on round robin DNS. So associating a specific IP with the DNS in the certificate verifier is a bad idea, which would explain why when we add an Etsy host entry and we change the server entry in the kubeconfig file, that it's going to say no. Okay, let's see. This specific DNS name must be in the cert. If it's not, we're going to give you that error. So I suspect that that's going to follow through. So what are we going to do to make this error happen? The first thing we're going to do, in fact, let's just fuck with the files. I don't have to put it in my program. The program's done. It works. So we need to go up here. We need to change it from cluster. We need to change the prod one. And let's change the cert authority to foo. Again, let's just make sure everything's working. Okay, get pods, cert foo, do open, share of new session file. Well, you know what? Screw it. Let's just go back to ca.crt. I don't, this part we already know about. So let's just get that to work again. Okay, so that's working. And now let's break it. Let's break it by changing this name. Okay, so let's put that name into Etsy hosts. Sudo Etsy hosts. Now this is going to get overwritten because this is a container. Every time you restart a container config, we learned that the other day. Oh my God, that was a deep dive. Dumb. Rob, that was really dumb. That was also dumb. Why is it not working? Why you no work? I don't know why. I don't know why that's not working, because I'm an idiot. That's why. T-Mux it is. T-Mux to the rescue. Anything you change to NC host will be overridden by the next time you run the container when you stop it. Because why? Because it is a bind mount. If you want to know about bind mounts, I spent like an entire hour and a half learning about bind mounts the other day. Stuff that I never knew about all these years. Bind mounts are glorified links. So that is going to be prod.home.rbx.gg. And we don't even need to put prod API. We can just put prod. Ping prod. There's no ping on here. Curl. Actually, no. Let's do. Well, I mean, it's in there. I don't need to fuck with it anymore. So, kube config. We can change this to prod.home. GG. Get pods. Should give us the error. Yep. Couldn't get server API list. Failed to verify cert certificate is valid. Yep. That is exactly the error. There it is. Yay. So I'm really glad that that did what I expected. This is giving me exactly the error that I wanted. It can't use TLS. It can't use TLS. And it's giving me the exact error I'm getting at work. It said, failed to verify certificate. Certificate is valid for Minikube CA, control plane minikube.terminal, Kubernetes default cluster, Kubernetes blah blah blah, Kubernetes default, Kubernetes localhost. That's interesting, but not prod home.rdbx.gg. So I have to put in the IP number. It's interesting that the IP number is not there. One of these must be resolving. That's very interesting. How is it getting the IP number? Why doesn't it show the IP number in there? Maybe this is just specialized error. I think if it's a host name, it only shows host names. Oh. So if I gave it another IP address, which would break my networking, but if I did that, you can see the IPs in the cert. Okay, I have to make a note about that. That makes so much sense. Yeah. I'm going to make a note about this. Note that the error message only seems to include DNS names, not IPs, when dealing with names in the -- server values. The IPs can be seen when viewing the cert using OpenSSL. All right, let's try that. So I wish I would save. I mean, we already looked at that. We looked at the profile cert. No. TLS failed to verify certificate. Okay, wait. Certificate is valid for Minikube CA. So was this the CA or was it the server? I don't remember. So that's the, oops. So there we go. There's the IP addresses. Yeah. So the IP addresses are in there, but so are the other DNS names that are listed, including Minikube, control plane Minikube internal. That's new. That's not listed here. Oh, it is. Nice. Minikube CA, control plane Minikube internal. So that's where it's getting it from. DNS, Kubernetes default SVC cluster. Kubernetes default Kubernetes localhost. Kubernetes at local, Kubernetes blah. Defaults Kubernetes localhost. And then, oh, so it's only DNS. And then it has IP address. IP address. Interesting. I'm just curious to see what those look like on the CA. I mean, they shouldn't have any of those things in them, right? It should just be, it shouldn't have any specific DNS entries in it. This should just be very, very, very generic. CA equals true, TLS client authentication, web server client authentication, extended key use of signatures. It does signing as well, okay. Is Minikube CA? Yep, that's it. Doesn't have any secondary attributes or anything. It's just for signing. All right, that's what I expect. So that means it's now time for me. I'm gonna take a break. We're gonna go back to work here. Put some music on. I'm actually gonna go spelunking and go find our Kubernetes CA file as opposed to the server file that's been generated. I suspect it's gonna have the same DNS missing things, and then I can make a confident recommendation that we need to update our kubeadm file to contain those hosts for those specific things, and then restart the API servers and regenerate those server keys. I think that that's the solution. I actually want to learn how to do that. In fact, we've actually simulated a break here, and I think we can do extra parameters into kubeadm on Minikube when it creates. We might be able to actually fix this problem using our Minikube lab. Stay tuned for that. All right, so we are back. A little break there. LBG found this fantastic tutorial about how to fix exactly what we have as a problem. So we have simulated the problem by using Minikube to set up our clusters, and by default it requires a -- server, IP. And we've been using that in our kubeconfig file. And just to confirm that, I'll show you. So .kubeconfig. So that we've been using IP numbers in here, right? And so to break this on purpose, we added a Etsy host entry to prod.home to a DNS, and now we get different errors, right? We get the errors that specify all the DNS entries that we validated very recently by looking at the certificate itself, the API server certificate specifically, not the CA, and noticing that server certificate that was generated by Minikube automatically, indirectly by kubeadm, by the way, does not contain this domain. So we've created the error that we are correcting. To fix that error, there are two ways to fix that error, and only two ways to fix that error. One of them is to disable TLS validation, which I have been doing, which our work has been doing. I've been trying to fix that. And the other one is to add it to this certificate and restart your API servers. And there's a tutorial on that we're going to go through in a bit. So the reason I'm going through it is because I want to do those steps, actually. I want to do those steps. And I think I might even be able to do it with kubeadm. from Minikube, I might be able to SSH into the Minikube servers and actually do that using kubeadm on those Minikube servers and get a little bit of practice doing this. So the first fix, of course, is to no, this is a different error. I'm mixing up my errors. I'm sorry, I'm mixing up my errors. We got around the TLS verify error here. This is a completely different error. This is there's no way to fix this whatsoever. I don't think TLS verify no verify is even going to work here. I don't think it is. Let's try insecure, because that only handles the initial connection. It doesn't handle what's in the cert. I don't know. We're going to try TLS skip TLS verify true. Insecure flag is not allowed. Specifying a root certificate. All right, fine. Couldn't get the current API group list. The server asked if client credentials. Script self-serve validation. This is a problem now because you can't find it. That's a different error. I don't remember getting that error before. I mean, I got it, but that was for the OIDC upstream stuff, right? That makes me think that it's communicating with the API server now, but the API server is trying to check in with the Keycloak stuff, and it's having problems because it doesn't have the right cert signing. That's very weird. You think? Yeah, okay. Yeah, it worked. Okay, good. Wow. Okay, I feel better now. So, no validation. So there's only two ways to fix this problem. Turn off TLS validation, which we've done, or add it to the proper cert. So let's go back into the broken state that we did on purpose. And that's weird. Why is that there? I just swore I got rid of that. Oh, it's because of fucking. Yeah, I know. It's I have to hard code this change. Yeah, every time I log in, it overwrites the thing. So if I want it to stay broken, I got to really break it. So prod.home.rx.gg. Yeah, plus it added the CA cert. Oh no, it didn't. Good. Go install. I mean, that was the whole point of just making this new tool, right? I thought for sure we were going to be able to add something that would fix it, but nope, they're going to have to fix the certs. Yeah, it was overridden for sure. Okay, login. And pause. Yep, there we go. That's the one we want, right? That's the error we wanted. So it's the wrong name. And let's see if we can bypass that. I don't know if this will work. Yep, it does. Okay. So we skipped TLS validation. I'm doing it again, but I just wanted to. You know what's funny is you can't turn that off from here. No, you can't turn TLS verify off from the command line. You can turn it on, but you can't turn it off. I don't think anyway. Oh, there we go. We got it. That worked that time. Equals false. Yeah. Yeah, but actually it removes it. I had a space there before. That's why it didn't work. I thought it didn't work. I was wrong. So, non-cube. Yeah, it's gone now. See? So we got our new cluster in there. All right, so we are exactly where we want to be. Now, I'm going to follow the tutorial to add prod.home.rbx.gg to my cert using Minikube and see if I can follow the same steps, because Minikube actually uses kubeadm under the hood, which is really cool. If you want to add a checkbox in the list of reasons to use Minikube over kind for different reasons, for different purposes, Minikube uses kubeadm to deploy its miniature Kubernetes. So all of the artifacts from kubeadm are the same, and you can actually get on to the server and you can see that all the kubeadm stuff is there. This is really, really valuable if you're just doing debugging. So I have a feeling we have a good shot at being able to change this. It's a little bit different than kubeadm vanilla. Yeah, the vanilla layout is definitely different, but it still does use kubeadm. So there's a good chance there's a kubeadm config file or something. So I don't know. We're going to go look. So here's the tutorial, LBG found. In this post, I'm going to walk you through how to add a name. Why would you add a name? Because you added a new DNS name after you bootstrap the cluster. It's exactly what we have now. This process doesn't assume the cluster was bootstrapped using kubeadm. We're assuming that. Minikube uses kubeadm, thank God. Simple kubeadm init. Before we get going, let's talk about certs. Kubernetes uses digital certs to encrypt traffic from your API. As such, if you try to connect the API server command line, you need to have a hostname and IP address. If it's not in the certs list of subject alternative names, sends, you get an error indicating the certificate isn't valid. And that's what we have. Minikube by default makes IP addresses plus the standard ones, but not the others, because it uses kubeadm to create the certs. To fix that, you need to update the certificate so that the list of SANs includes any and all IP addresses or host names that you will use to access the API server by IP and DNS entries. So we're going to add DNS entries. Update the API's server cert. Because the cluster was bootstrapped using kubeadm. You know what? Is there a way to remotely query the server cert to see if it has IP addresses in it? I have to answer that question. Like if that would, because this is the server cert, right? So I should be able to grab this thing and do an open VPN on it to see what IP numbers are in it, right? What I want to see is if the IP numbers are in the cert that gets downloaded. I mean, they should be. I mean, I cannot imagine them not being in there. X509. Oh, wait, I need to edit that. Just on the file, which is the same as, it's the same file, right? The only difference is that one was fetched and the other one wasn't, and I confirmed that the files are identical. So you're right. You're right. I just really want to be sure. You're absolutely right. The files are the PEM file was identical. I now remember that. I totally remember that. So, no text. Wait. And there it is. There's the IP addresses. So the IP addresses are in there. The reason I'm asking this is because one way I can fix this without reissuing the cert is to put the right IP address in the issuer. Holy fuck. But our API servers are behind a load balancer. But it doesn't matter, right? You see where I'm going with this? If I can do that exact same command at work, and I can pull out the IP addresses from the cert, and I can put those IP addresses in the kubectl file, and I can bypass the need to redo the config. Oh, right. But then we wouldn't be adding a CA. We'd be adding a server cert to our ends thing, and that's like a total fail. It would work. It would work, but it's not the right thing to do. Oh my God, I kind of remind myself that. That's that stupid ass Stack Exchange thing. No, it's a server cert. You don't want to add a server cert to a kubeconfig file. Okay. Woo-wee. Sorry for that. It's a little bit of a thing. However, it would work. To be fair. Just shoot me now. Now, it would totally bypass the load balancer. Oh, yeah. It would. It would make everybody use a specific AP address. It would bypass the load balancer, and the server cert might go away at any time if it gets rebuilt. See, the reason to use the CA, one of the main reasons to use the CA, in my way of thinking, I'm going to see if I'm right on this, is if you put the CA in there and you alter the server certs to add other things in there, the CA doesn't have to change on the endpoints, right? See what I'm saying? So does that follow? Because then because here's the monumental fail that would happen if I hard coded a specific server cert into kube login for everybody, because that server cert would get, somebody would run kubeadm to update the certs and everybody would break, because they wouldn't be able to talk to it anymore. But if I had the CA that was used to create the cert by kubeadm, then, and I hardcode that in there, then the chances are that that's never going to change in the lifetime of that Kubernetes cluster. So that's the thing to get. That's the really thing to put in there. And I don't really need to do much more than that. It does make me wonder, though. I am still going to have to add the IP address because when Kubernetes is issuing the server certs, it's not updating that. But that task of updating the server certs is much less than generating a new CA, obviously. Has 10-year TTL, yeah. By the default CA. Why at least certs have 1 year, yeah. Yep. Okay, I didn't know about the expiration dates. That's cool to know. So the default CA has 10 years, and the default leafs have 1 year. Okay. All right, so the first thing, so we're going to need to get on our API servers and run kubeadm and add those host names to the cert. To pull the KVM configuration from the cluster into the external file and run this command. Into external file. Yeah, I was reading this. I actually read something similar to this earlier. This creates a YAML, a file called YAML. It looks something like this. It's got your extra args in there. I like extra args because I know I can pass that to Minikube. That's one of the reasons I'm paying attention to this. Certificate stir, PKI, that's the same. Yeah. You know what? Let's actually do something. Let's pretend that we're not using the minikube.config file. Let's pretend that we're going to treat our Minikube nodes, our API nodes, as if they're actual machines for a second. And because I'm going to simulate what I have to do to get the CA, I have to log into the API server, and I can go grab the CA file right out of the Etsy Kubernetes PKI, right? So we can do this. So what am I doing? No, whatever. Yeah, I this is a separate thing. I'm kind of past fixing the other thing. Yeah. Yeah, so if I Minikube SSH-D prod. I thought it was SSH, is it not? Log into the Minikube environment. Oh, is it what the hell? Oh, Minikube. Oh. I thought I did -p prod. There we go. Okay, so this is our control plane. And we can go into Etsy Kubernetes. Nope, doesn't look like it. Huh. What is this? This is a node. And Kubernetes does a bunch of magic, so... Oh, there it is, Kubernetes. I spelled it wrong. Yeah, it's definitely different. I wonder where it keeps the certs. I mean, they're all in... That's not going to be documented because that's not... CRTCTL.yaml, Creo. Kind of interesting. Find / name dot pem. Oh, permission denied. Is it 1 or 2? I have to do dev null and then I have to... What am I doing wrong? Oh, it's 2. Duh. PKI puller. There we go. SC share CA certs interim.pem. Hey, look at that. It put my interim.pem in there. So that, you know what? That's important. Okay, so, oh man, I thought that wasn't as important before. That is more important. This is how Kubernetes is able to phone home to the OIDC provider. So in putting that interim PEM is still required. It's just not required for kubectl to talk to the API servers. So you still need that because that confirms it right there. Kubelet client PEM, SSL certs. Let's go look around here. All the other certs we don't really need. Those are all the... Is global sign here? C, D, E, F, G. I'm just curious. Nope. There we go. Etsy Docker server key, server.pem, Docker ca.pem. That's just for Docker. Certs, Minikube ca.pem. There we go. Yep. Etsy certs. It's added by embedded certs. Yeah. You think it's got to have PK in the name? There we go. Mount VDA. Look at that. Huh. That's cool. That means that Minikube is creating a volume mount for a single volume mount for each VM that has all the PKI stuff in it. That's why it's a centralized Minikube CA dot whatever file. Right? I think by mounts the persisted data. Yep. So there's a kubelet. But that's just for the kubelet. So that's just I mean, that should be enough because the kubelet is a node and it is everything here. That CRT file is probably the same as the one handed out by the API server. Nope, it's not. It's a chain. It's no, that's just a kubelet. That's just a kubelet. Okay, never mind. Yeah. Data what? What are we looking for? That's like a different mount even. We're already there. Same one. That was just mounted before. Yeah, that must be a bind mount, like you said. So yeah. In fact, I want to check that out. Grep. C groups. Kubelet. Damn. Docker overlay on top. Overlays. Ugh. Yeah. And it's just an overlay mount. I thought it was bind mount. Maybe overlay mounts are bind mounts. They probably are. Makes sense. Because they're just limiting what they can see, right? Did I get that right? I need to go look at that. I'm guessing containers use bind mounts for overlays. But I don't know enough to say for sure yet. Anyway. Hey Maluba. And yeah. Anyway, so much for the test. I was hoping it was going to be more of a kubeadm style thing, and I don't see a kubeadm anywhere. So the answer to that would be no. It's very, very specialized. So here's the node IP. Huh. Yeah, this is kind of been fun, but this is irrelevant because this is not going to get me to where I need to be. Client cert, Minikube cert CA, var lib. Why would I put it there? Yeah, but why would it put it there? Var lib, yeah, I saw it. But it doesn't make any sense. Certs. There they are. All right, so if I knew how to restart the API server on here, I could probably make this change right now and fix this problem. I mean, this is going to be fun. I can redo the whole thing if I need to. So let's confirm that we have the right servers that we're talking about. OpenSSL X509, assuming we have an OpenSSL over here. We do, yeah. And another reason you learn OpenSSL, even if you want to learn the other ones, you know, API server.crt. Actually, I already know what this looks like if it's the right one, because I know that what it ends with. KNS, yep, that's the one. So that's the one we already know because it's, look, I need to prove it. So it's over here. See this? Oh, that's a different one. Anyway, that's the API server, we know. We already know because we pulled it down before. Temp foo will be KNS, I think. Yeah, there it is. See? KNS. Same cert. Move the manifest out of Etsy Kubernetes manifest. You can, that's all? You can just move the manifest and have it do its thing? And it'll redo its thing? Because it's on a cron job? I did not know that. That's probably basic admin stuff that I don't know still. I didn't know you could do that. Really? That's so cool and weird. All right, so what are we doing now? Now we are trying to reconfigure this system using kubeadm, the API server. We want the API server to have our new hostname in it, right? So we need to go find that. Certs, etcd, images, kubeconfig. I assume we're going to go... kubeconfig is probably not what we want. Kubeconfig is local, right? Oh, yeah, so this is a copy. Oh, look at this. It's like an actual kubeconfig to connect to it using here. We could have gone in here and looked for the certs too. Look at that. Yep. So let's, and it's using client cert authentication. We're not doing that in ours. Okay. So etc Kubernetes, and we need to go look at stuff in here. Manifests, and let's look at the kube API server. Nothing here. SSL. Damn, are those anything empty? What the hell? Oh. Okay. Kube API server. Wow. Oh, this is the holy grail. All right, so this is how this thing was started up. Kube API server.yaml. There's the IP. Enable, let's see, DCA. We're going to need, do we have our realm there? Issuer ID. Preferred username. Those are all the extras. Oh, that was a weird one. That was a weird one. Why did I put quotes around the whole thing? I have to make note of that, not to do that next time. Yeah. I'm sorry, I have to fix this right now. There's a problem there. HPC API add-all. Uh-oh, I have to answer some questions. Take a note, take a break. I am back. We had a little bit of a production problem with our API with the deferred SSH client closure. Timeout that was too short. And I'm going to need to work on that. That I will work on tomorrow morning, if not tonight. I'm going to have to simulate some SSH client coding in Go so I can test default timeouts and default SSH behavior, which many may not know. When you open up an SSH client in Go, it keeps it open. So you need to make sure to time that out after a certain amount of time when it's not exclusively closed. You also need to make sure to close it if something else goes wrong with this session. Otherwise, it'll leave it open to be reused on it. I think it's running a separate Go routine, which we are going to research. Always Zwift. It'll be Zwift tonight. Sorry, it's too rainy outside. Yeah, I know you guys like it when I go outside. I really do like it too, but all right. To get a bunch of things to ring fit. My dog is coming in here because of the thunderstorm. There's no place to hide in here. You're just gonna slobber all over my carpet and make me deathly allergic to you. But you're scared. I know you're scared. My poor doggy. My poor doggy. Sammy. We'll play music tonight. That's what we've been doing. Well, it's the way the defer has been set up. The defer close is that I don't know why. I don't know if it's my problem or someone else's, but the defer is after the error check. So the client doesn't exist, throws a null exception, panics, and kills the process. So you have to restart the pods. Yeah, it is pretty damn weird. What's weird is that what's weird is that it's getting to that place. I have to simulate the code. I'm not gonna. I know how to fix it, but I just we've got open issues on that. But if you don't have a defer, it may leave the connections open on accident. I don't know. We'll have to go see. There's something not right. You know what? Okay, fine. If you stay over there and you promise not to make it. All right, good girl. You're a good girl. You're a good girl. Don't look at me like that. Are you afraid? My dog is terrified. She's listening to the thunder. Can you see her? You're going to be okay, Sam. It's just thunder. She's like, yeah. That's what you think. That stuff will kill you, man. Oh my God, my poor doggy. All right, so we're back to the issue with simulating a missing domain name from a certificate. Let's see if I can actually get it to work again. Damn, what happened? Looks like I lost my connection. My server still up? Yeah, we might actually. I don't know. Last time we might actually get knocked out by the thunderstorm, huh, Sam? That's happened 3 times so far, so who knows? I'm totally locked up over there. I don't know what's going on with that one. I am completely locked. Yeah, that pane got completely locked. So I don't know what happened there. We're gonna figure it out. We'll call this klogin again. Reattach the pod. It's still up. Okay, podman. Attach klogin. This is so weird. Okay. Podman PS. What happened? That was weird. It's okay. You're okay. Oh my God. Start -a keylogin. Ascertainment, how are you? My poor scared puppy. You're okay. You're a good girl. All right. But my start keylogin. All right, so this is what I was trying to say. Okay, get pods. This is going to fail. Yeah, it's like, I can't find it. No suspect host. Oh, wait. Also, host's name got reset. Yeah, because every time you restart a pod, it screws up your hosts. Because they're bind mounted, which we learned the hard way. Which one is this? Kube API server. Is this prod? Oh, good. There's my IP. I can go get that. I need that. All right, so now I know it does not last. I know it doesn't last. I still need to change it. What I want to know is why is all the other... Oh, that's from the host OS. Interesting. Did not know that. It's actually bringing in the host OS IPs. I am learning something about how containers work. Okay, so prod rbx home.rbx.gg, and now kget pods should work. Say, sorry, your cert is not valid because it doesn't have the DNS. That's what we wanted. And now we're in the kubeadm configuration manifests that were created by kubeadm when Minikube started this cluster. And we're trying to figure out how to fix the cert that gets generated, the server cert, so that it has the right thing. Let's not play range, CL cert file. We know how to pull the CA out, but I just want to know how to add it to the cert. And I don't know how to do that. There's a tutorial on this that I haven't read yet, so let's read it. This creates a kubeadm file. Blah, blah, blah. This is a kubeadm that get run. We want to do cert sans, S-A-N-S, which stands for secondary, I can't remember, alternative names. Yes, subject alternative names. Subject alternative names. That's where you add your DNS entries or IPs. Subject alternative names. So we have to add SAN entries. So we can either use the kubeadm kube system get config map to get this, or I might be able to pull it out of here and restart. I mean, I don't know. We're going to find out. Is there anything related to SAN in here? No. How about anywhere in here? How about anywhere in here? I have a feeling that I have to change the kubeadm stuff. Now this suggests that I should just change the kubeadm YAML file. I don't see a kubeadm YAML file here though. I just see the controller. Oh, there it is. It's got to be admin.conf. Yeah. Stupid authority data, control plane Minikube. Users, Kubernetes admin. I wonder. Certificates there. It doesn't look like the same file. We're trying to resolve Minikube, and you get that with kubectl. Read the article. I know that. I read that. I'm trying to see if that file is a config map, right? I'm trying to see if there's a kubeadm.yaml file that exists that's been saved into the source directories here. I was thinking maybe there was a copy of it already here. Yep. So we're going to have to change the kubeadm file and then reapply it and then assume the Minikube does the right thing, which is why I'm looking it up. I can definitely go change the kubeadm YAML file. That's not a problem. Here's an example. This change kubeadm file adds a SAN. Okay, so we're changing the file. What I want to know is how to apply it, and so that we can apply that information to Minikube. Once you've updated kubeadm file, either default or pulled from the config map. See that there is a file around somewhere sitting on disk, or the custom one you use when you bootstrap the cluster. See, I think Minikube probably used one to bootstrap the cluster, and that's around somewhere. And I was going to change it and then reuse it, but I'm okay either way. First, SCPK API server. First, move the existing API server, cert, and key. Yep, move them. Then use kubeadm to generate a new cert. This is going to be weird though, because we're going to have to use kubeadm to generate a new cert and make sure all our other DNS names are in there. Using the specified configuration file for guidance. Still getting the issue. Yeah, I have to go answer this. Sorry. All right, so back to trying to create. We're trying to do stuff that is simulating a production environment. So we are going to recreate our server search for the API server while Minikube is still running. That's the challenge. That's the challenge ahead of us. We're following this tutorial about it, and we have several people that have done it before. And the reason for this is because this is the only way to fix a cert that was created without the domain names in it that you have since assigned to your API servers that you want to put in your server configuration for your kubectl config files for your users. This is the only fix. It's not running. Minikube is just a tool. Bootstraps cluster. Whatever. Kubeadm init phase certs API server config kubeadm.yaml. So I see what they did here. They grabbed the kubeadm file as it was executed, which is why they're caching it. So we actually don't need to be on the server for this, of course. So this is interesting because the way that they suggest to do it in the documentation is something that will work as long as you have API access to the server. The idea that you could reapply a kubeadm file to a running Kubernetes cluster remotely is new to me. It's new to me. So, but I'm going to follow it. This is something you would not be doing all the time. Now, to be fair, no, that's not completely true because here they are on the API server moving the keys out of the way. So I take back what I said. You actually do have to have access to the server to do that. This makes me wonder if I should do this work from on the server, the API server itself, or if I should do it from a remote system that's querying the API over the server. I'm going to go back to the SSH. I'm going to change my mind completely, and I'm going to go back to SSHing into prod. So new this field, yeah, me too. So we're going to go ahead and do a couple things here. So we found the certs is in var what? Varlib Minikube. We found those by looking at the config. We found those earlier. Those are different than what would be normally on a system. Yeah. And then we'll go into the certs directory. Now, we're going to be moving certs in here out of the way according to the tutorial. But first we're going to add cert sends, and we're going to add our stuff to the cert sends section of the API server under the kubeadm. So etcpk API server.crt key, that's what it would be on an actual server. In our case, we are on Minikube, so we're in Varlib Minikube. And it's still the same stuff though. API server key, API server.crt. All right. So now you have to bind mount Varlib Minikube certs to etcpk certs when kubeadm expects them to be. If we're going to use kubeadm. Yeah, I see what you're saying. So I mean, I haven't read that that's an expectation so far. Wouldn't that show up in the kubeadm YAML file? You see what I'm saying? So like if I go into /temp, for example, if we do, I mean, I assume kubectl is on it. We checked that already, right? No, there's no kubectl. All right, the only thing I'm going to do over here is move the certs. That's it. The only thing I'm going to do is move the certs, because I want to follow the rest of the steps as if I'm using the API. Download kubectl, well, I suspect they're on there. I just don't want to have to go find them. So let's do it. Let's go back to doing that stuff over the API from here. Are we going to be able to execute kubeadm commands from there? No, right? They have to be executed on the system. Or can they not? Need to be on the actual node. And since these are single node servers, you need the search and discover SPK, which are on the node. Okay, so add a new host name to Kubernetes. Yes, that's what I'm doing. It's a Kubernetes PK. We're trying the node. Yes. Well, we are on a node now, so let's see if we have kubeadm already on here. I doubt it, but wait, didn't we do that already? I thought we did that already. kubectl. How about as an average user? Maybe it was already there. Nope, we're gonna have to install them. All right, so let's do sudo apt. Wait, are we even on apt? Oh, we're on Red Hat, right? Yeah. What's the Alpine's? Dude, this is like spelunking into the middle of Minikube. All right. QGM is a library. Yeah, it probably is. Yeah, I'm guessing that's what's happening. Yeah. I have like wine flies on. I don't even know if I want to install it on here. I mean, it's worth looking into though. Yeah, it's just a binary, but I mean, I want to know a couple different things. First of all, like what is the baseline install? I really don't know. Does anybody know? Stupid ass flies. I got like wine flies. Fucking hate them. Why are they not dying, Sam? You should get zapped by our... I'm sorry, I have to know what we are playing with here. I think this is its own release. What distro does Minikube? I think it uses its own containers for... Maybe Minikube uses the libvirt engine. It's got to be its own thing. It's got to be its own thing. Set driver KVM2, we already have that. It's got to be its own custom version of Linux. It has to be. I'm just wondering if it has any package manager at all, which would make no sense because it'd be too heavy. It would be too heavy to have a package manager. Another reason to use Go. Yep. Boot to Docker. It's using boot to Docker. How do you know that? How do you know that? Minikube. How do I association with VM for Minikube? Cybernetics. Let's see. Mini binary for this Minikube SSH. Minikube uses boot to Docker as its base image. Boom. All right, there you go. Being Docker TS user. Minikube uses boot as base Linux image. Well, I've always wanted to know that, so now I know. Which means we can just download binaries and we call it a day. User local bin. There is no user local bin. All right, user bin then. User bin it is. Sudo su dash CD user bin. Is there a curl over here? Probably not. Oh my god, yes. Good times. Let's go get kubeadm. Actually, I can copy my binary of kubeadm over. Yeah, I have binaries of this that are already compiled for Linux, so I can just use those. So yeah, how do I mount them? How do I copy them? I probably could use SCP. Can you use Minikube SCP? Is that a thing? Is that a thing? Is that a thing? I mean, I wonder if I could actually... Damn. Permission to public key. Damn. Yeah, I can just SCP that way. Yes. Cat dot SSH. This is weird, but I'm doing it anyway. Known host. No. I'm creating SSH keys as root. It's so bad. SSH key gen. Watch it not be here. 255. Unknown key type. Oh, it's ED. ED 299. Yes, please. Cat. .ssh pub key SCID dot pub. Teamworks that over into my server. Where is that? SSH home. Yeah, into... Do we want to do it as root? Probably should. Yeah. Yeah, etsy.ssh slash thrice keys. Go back over here. Go back over here? No. Where am I supposed to go? Where was I? Is that it? Nope, Minikube. Wrong one. Got too many open. There we go. So, SSH. Boom, yay. All right, so now I can copy them over. I don't know where they are, though. I don't. I think they're in my thing. kubectl, which kubeadm, which I don't think I have. I do not have a kubeadm. Can I sudo apt install kubeadm? I probably shouldn't do that. Yeah, I know. I think I do because, well, Minikube is the latest, so it can be too different from it. Yeah. But it's got to be a Minikube in there. There's got to be a kubeadm in the Minikube thing. I feel like there is. No. Because it actually... There it is. It's been there the whole time. What the hell? What the hell? Oh my god. I am wasting my time copying those over. Oh my god, I feel like such a lame-o. Alright, remove the SSH. I mean, it has to be there. It's been using it to make shit all the time. So, I don't know why I didn't think of that. Alright, so no more of that stuff. We just have to make sure it's in our path, which apparently it isn't. Or the Minikube binaries. Alrighty. I'm only going to use this shell, so let's go fly a kite. Let's do... Is there, we have a bash RC, we have a profile. We had nothing, man. We got nothing. echo path. Oopsie daisy. We have one. We have one path. Oh, wait. Wait, I did it wrong. I did it wrong. I'm so sorry. There we go. We have... Why is this not working? There we go. No. Why is my thing not working? I cannot ever... Is it because it's not supported? I always do echo instead of printf. I'm such an idiot. There we go. I should... Okay, fine. I'm going to try this. Echo dash n. There. No. No. Okay, fine. Printf. Printf. Boom. That's what we got. Printf. Boom. Yes. I mean, I've been wanting to get this command out. There we go. There we go. That's the one. Quotes. Yes. Yes, you're right. Yeah, it still has a stupid... There we go. So as long as I put in user bin and user sbin, I mean, why can't I just symlink it? Or hard link it? I'm hard linking it. Yeah. I'm hard linking it. Oh shit. Invalid device link? I don't think so. I don't want to do that. It's too easy. I don't want to do that. All right, fine. Should we do it properly? Or it only adds it if it's new? Or with the full path? Yeah, that's horrible. Far lib Minikube binaries. I already had it in my tmux buffer, but I just felt like typing it because I want to. kubectl. Damn it. Something I didn't screw up. I hope there's no spaces in there, because that would make it ruin my day real fast. I typed it wrong. Var lib minikube binaries. What the hell is that? All right, there we go. All right, there we go. All right, what are we doing? Back to the certs. Var lib minikube certs. And here we are. Right? So kubectl cm I need to go look at this up. Cube system, get config map, kubeadm config, cm, cube system. I thought CM was a thing. Is a shortcut. Guess not. I thought it was. Oh. There we go. It was. Can't talk to it. Did you specify the right host report? Yes. Export cube config equals etc kubernetes. Is it admin? Yeah. That's, you do have to do that on pretty much everything. I just forgot. Yay. Kubeadm.yaml. Do. Cluster configuration. It only wants data or cluster configuration. Why not the whole thing? I guess it must be pretty. I want to see the whole thing. Dash o yaml temp kubeadm config.yaml temp kubeadm config.yaml. So here, okay, cluster configuration is the only thing it needed. Oh, this is the actual data. Look at it, it's like a bar, which means it's actually text. It's not really values. I see why. There's lots of good stuff here. API server, and so we're going to add our new server. I kind of wish I could just change it here, but can't do that. Interesting. This is very interesting to me. So they're doing a JSON select, which I hate, by the way. I hate JSON pass. Sorry, I just do. Data cluster configuration. Is there a YQ over here or JQ? No JQ. You gotta be kidding me. Data to cluster configuration. All right, we have to use JSON path. It's really the only reason to learn JSON path. Data. Kube-ish config. Servers, we are going to add here rw, let's see, prod.home.rwx.gg. Rest is the same. All right, let's go back to this. Let's see, deploy the kubeadm cluster from the external file. Did it. Sands are listed. Go add them. And if you already have a kubeadm config file, may use that instead. If not, you'll need to add it. Just add another entry list. Here's an example. Let's change the kubeadm config. Add sands to the IPs. Blah. Once they've updated the config file, default one pulled from the config map to custom one configuration file. Either the default one pulled from the config map or the custom one you use when you bootstrap the cluster. Then you're ready to update the cert. Okay, first move the existing API server cert out of the way. That's why we're here. So we're going to move API server CRT and key. Server. Oh, we only need the cert and the key. The rest stays. Okay. Move those to tilde. And now they're not here anymore. So we can save them. Then use kubeadm to just generate a new one. Oh, gall darn it. Init phase certs API server. Kubeadm. Init phase. It's so important to learn about setting up Kubernetes closer to kubeadm. I am so convinced of that now. If you're not doing that in a home lab and you're just using stuff that's already been built for you, you don't have to use kubeadm for anything, you're gonna be sorry. That would be me. Config temp cube whatever. And get that init phase certs. So we're just running the certs phase of the installation. Don't forget the PK bind mount. Why? Are you sure it's gonna look there? How do you know it's going to look there? It's just doing the certs phase. Because the certs phase expects it to be in Etsy and Etsy Kubernetes PKI. That's the standard place for kubeadm, right? Yeah. What if I just made a symlink of where I'm at that points to Etsy Kubernetes PKI? It's kubeadm default. I mean, let's see what's actually there. Nothing, right? Oh wait, what? I could just move him, couldn't I? I mean, it's ugly to do that, but if I do this, it's going to make a PKI directory here, and there's no PKI directory currently. Let's see. Why? Why not? Why can't we just move him? It's not going to blow away Etsy Kubernetes. Is it? I mean, that's why we're testing. Is it going to blow away Etsy Kubernetes? Probably not, right? Kubernetes expects him in via the Minikube certs. No, it just needs the 2 files. It's only going to make 2 files, right? Is it going to make more than 2 files? No. I can just move the files. Bind matter symlink. I can just move the files. I know it's not pretty, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. You ready? You're going to give me a big fat I told you so, right? Well, it'll be fun for you. It'll be fun for you then. Here we go. Boom. Generate API server key. Sign for DNS names. Blah, blah, blah. That looks pretty happy. Did it make it here? Nope. So it put it in its expected place. Kubernetes. Oh, there's no PKI there either. What? Where the hell did it put it? It put it in the right place. Can you believe that? I am shocked and amazed. It put it in the right place. It did. And here we were all scared. We were so scared. It put it in the right place. Look, it's right there. Wow. That's cool. Is the path in the kubeadm config? I mean, I assume it is because it just worked. So OpenSSL X509. Please tell me there's OpenSSL over here. X509 dash in API server dot CRT no out dash text. Hey, look. Hey, looky here. prod.home.rdx.gg. That would be correct. All right. So now we just have to restart the API server, which I have no idea how to do. So we're going to go research about how to do that. The final step is restarting the API server. I think I just said that. Run docker ps grep kube API server grep b pause. We're not running it in Docker. Change the container ID for the Kubernetes API server. The container ID will also be the very first field output. You're not bothering me. You're not bothering. So, would you look at that? Docker kill. Oh, because it's an API server, so it's just a pod. We can just use creectl to restart the pod. Derp. It's a static pod. What are you talking about? Recommendations for doing things? Yeah, the boost is what I'd recommend. Yeah, we just have to restart the... Are we using creectl? Is this using Creo or containerd? If your nodes are running containerd as a container runtime, the commands are a bit different. creectl. Yeah, so we're running creectl because pods. Yeah. We're restarting the static pod that handles the API server. Is it a static pod or is it a daemon set? It works with a static pod and a daemon set? Well, that's nice to know. I feel much better. I feel much better. API server. API server prod. Okay, then we're going to restart that baby. Stop. And what's RMP? We're going to remove it, and is it going to automatically start itself? It will, right? Because it knows better. Because it's Kubernetes. All right, so they're static. -F. Damn, that sounds mean. No, I want to be polite about it. I want to be polite. Creo. Stop. I mean, what am I stopping? That's horrible. Completion. Pod ID. I need to get the pod ID. The pod ID is... Oh, God damn it. God damn it. That. creectl stop. Stop. Paste. Stopped and remove. Removed. And it should make a new one. Uh-oh, it's not making a new one. Do I have to start a new one? It's supposed to make me a new one. I will restart the container. It takes a bit. Where's my free new server? Man. API server pod. There it is. Yay, it's back. Well, that's interesting. So if this actually worked, which I'm hoping it did, if this actually worked, then quite miraculously, this same command should work without any other changes. Ooh, different error. Oh, wait, because we made a new cert. I need to make a new token, yeah. Yeah. Because it was signed by their token, yeah. Did I inadvertently make a new key? Well, I did. I made a new API server cert. What did I break? It's a different error though, so that's very good. Oh. We're not using the server CA anymore. Oh my god. All right, so let me add that back. The CA is still the same. I took my line out that was referring to the CA. Yeah, I know I am. I was doing that to illustrate the problem earlier. It's because we ran, you know why? It's because we ran login again. That's why. It's because we ran login again. I added it back and then I killed it with the login thing. Yes, I'm a horrible person. I'm a horrible person. Yay, team. Yay. All right, so we are successful. Thanks. Oh, damn. Severe tornado warning in this area until 6:15. Take shelter immediately in the basement or the lowest possible floor.
National Weather Service. Tornado warning in this area until 6:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time. Take shelter now in a basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. If you are outdoors, in a mobile home, or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris. Check media.
Damn, I hope this doesn't actually, Dude, if this takes out our apartment building, there's 2 floors above us that will squash me. That would be very sad. Sam, did you hear that? The tornado's gonna squish us. She's like, that's what I've been saying. Did you get that? Did you get that warning, Otto?
What?
The tornado warning?
Oh, no, I did not.
Can you look outside and see if we're going to be blown away by a tornado anytime soon?
Suppose I can.
Because they actually set an emergency alert. That they normally don't do that. So we might not want to die. It'd be so sad because I just got my Kubernetes certificate fixed. Is that a serious threat? I don't know. That's the problem. I mean, you know. I tell you what, if there's a tornado anywhere near this apartment complex, we are all dead. This apartment complex is this ancient piece of crap that will just fold right over if it gets anywhere near a tornado. And we're on the bottom floor. So the answer is yes. If there's actually a tornado anywhere near us, we would want to go hide in a field next door because it's obviously the winds won't take us away. We would be more at risk of an earthquake or a tornado knocking over the building and burying us. So that is a risk. I mean, the storms here are pretty damn rough, man. You guys have seen it a couple times. You've seen the lightning has taken out my stream in the middle. Yeah, it's not as bad as Arizona though. Oh my god. Tucson, Arizona has got the craziest monsoons ever in July. It's like around the same time as July 4th when there's fireworks. Mother Nature is like, oh yeah, you want to see fireworks? Hold my beer. Hold my natural beer. That's what Mother Nature says. I was watching a monsoon. I was a guy across the street. True story. I was watching. I just barely moved in. It was my first year in the monsoon season, and the guy who sold me my house lived across the street, and he came out. He goes, "Hey, how do you like your first monsoon?" And while he was saying that, his huge trampoline, round trampoline with netting and everything, lifted off from the background and hovered over his house like a fucking UFO. It was hovering over his house like a UFO. I'm not even kidding. And I was like, and he was literally, I was like thinking how cool it was that the wind was blowing completely sideways and the rain was completely sideways. And he was like, "How do you like your first monsoon?" He yelled across the street at me. It's a true story. And I was like, "I don't know." And then I was like, and I just pointed. I didn't say anything. And he ran out into the street, which was filled with like flood water. and he turned around and he just caught it in time to see his trampoline come smashing down and break the tiles in his roof and like land kind of on the fence at the same time. And so he and I went running back there to try to get his trampoline. It's like a metal fucking trampoline, right? We ran back there. We were totally getting soaked in this like really warm rain and everything. And we were both laughing. We were trying to pull his trampoline off his roof. And right then a lightning bolt hit. It went, whoo, and he looked at me and I looked at him and we went, we should probably not be doing this right now. I mean, we were seriously both holding on to a metal trampoline, trying to get it off of the roof in a lightning storm. I just see the headlines. Idiot neighbors, Good Samaritan neighbors helping each other get fried by a lightning bolt during the middle of the monsoon, trying to get their trampoline off the roof. That actually happened. That is a true story. That's Arizona for you. Arizona monsoon season, man. I mean, it can only be crazy now. Я говорю по-русски. Это только единственный язык, который я говорю. Мне интересно все языки, но все равно. По-русски говорю. kubeadm config has certificates dir var lib. Hey, there we go. Hey, good evening. So that's why I got it, LBG. Good to know, huh? Good to know. Well, the thing that's really great about this is that I can actually recreate from this video. I can recreate an operational task that goes with this tutorial. How did I learn? It was my major in Russian. I lived there for a long time. I lived in Russia for more on and off for 2 years. In St. Petersburg and Moscow. I worked over there. So this is cool. This is cool. I feel extremely confident in my ability to recommend what we need to do to fix the problem. I have actually fixed the problem using Minikube, and I know the kubeadm commands to do that fix if I'm called upon to do that in production. I now have the steps that we can do for that. And I have another Golang problem that I need to work on too. So I very likely am not going to be back right away tonight. This has been a fantastic session though. I really appreciate everybody being here, especially LBG. LBG, big old shout out to LBG for helping me where we're fighting over how to do things. I think LVG and I have both discovered many cool things about Minikube that can be done to practice operational management of your Kubernetes cluster without having to set up an entire Kubernetes cluster. I'm going to say it again. I have become a Minikube fan for one primary reason. Minikube uses kubeadm for its administration. And because Minikube is running a single node cluster with kubeadm, the commands to administer it, including grabbing the config map using the kubectl commands that we just read about, and the fact that Minikube installs kubeadm and kubectl into the virtual machine that it uses for its provider. I mean, that's a tremendous win. That means any of you out there who want to get good at bringing up or administering Kubernetes clusters on your own using kubeadm, your go-to tool for that is Minikube. Kind probably doesn't do any of that, and I love Kind for different things, but for this kind of administration and testing, particularly with messing with certs and understanding how they work, there's just nothing better than popping up a Minikube cluster or 3 and doing it that way, particularly because it sets up ingress and routing and all that stuff for you automatically. Well, I also corrected some Minikube wrong assumptions on your own that you had. Well, that's good because you know so much, LBG. If you're learning something, I'm really happy to hear it. Kind also uses kubeadm, but containers does not equal VMs. Kind uses containers, right? Yeah, I got to tell you, I am not a fan of any single node cluster solution that does not use virtual machines. I'm no longer a fan of anything that doesn't use virtual machines. And the reason primarily is because it's more real. I imagine when we get into the, making our own storage classes and playing around with storage class providers and stuff like that, that things that are based on KVM are going to be much better for that than any of the stuff that uses containers. So I am not a fan of using Minikube backed by Docker or Podman at all. I am a fan of using Minikube backed by KVM. And that's going to be my go-to for the future. Not so much for admins. I think you're right. I think for Kate's users and applications developers and stuff like that, I think that's a big takeaway. That if you have any aspirations at all to learn Kubernetes administration, Minikube is your baby. That's the thing to use. I mean, short of setting up your own cluster, which you can also do, by the way, and I do want to do that. But what are you going to do if you set up your own cluster? Right? You're going to pop up a few VMs. You're going to run kubeadm on those VMs. You're going to learn your phases and everything, right? Minikube does all of that. In fact, it creates logs. I know this because I did something wrong and it made spewed a bunch of error logs once when I ran Minikube. And it was a ton of kubeadm errors, in the process of running kubeadm to set up the certs. So you can go, and as we just did with the certs, we went in and we ran a specific kubeadm phase to generate the certs and update them with our new host name, our new DNS. That is a specific task that is done during Kubernetes bootstrapping when you're making your own cluster. So Minikube comes with a CNI, so you don't have to fuck around with Calico. It comes with an ingress, so you don't have to mess with that or setting up Nginx or Istio. And I'm just a huge fan. Particularly because I can actually SSH into the thing, and I got a machine that I can look at. By the way, if you haven't heard me complain during the boost about, or not complain, but just emphasize why it's important that you learn how to be relevant on a terminal, I've been doing it all day today. I SSH'd into a Minikube virtual machine and was able to install things and copy things over and edit things using the tools that are on this minimalized VM that's set up for Minikube. Had I not had those terminal skills, had I been tied to VS Code through SSH from a remote system or Emacs or NeoVim, any of those things would not have been available on this thing today. And it would have slowed me down. So I'm just going to, every time I do this, I'm going to put a pin in it. And I'm going to say, learn the tools that are on the systems by default first. And then you can add the other stuff if you want. That's fine. Particularly if you want to be useful as a Kubernetes administrator, cloud native person. That is all I have to say about that. Bye, YouTube.